shout. We were only 7 together every night. But we are not 7 with you.
Everyone, it's army time.
Wait, we didn't do our just Jasmine.
I know, right? I don't think we have energy for jazz fingers today.
Yeah, not after waking up so early. Well, for you it was at 11. So for me it was 6 a.m.
Yeah, that sucks. If you didn't know, we film on a Saturday, so we are filming just after the first day of Matter of the Soul 1. We basically got up this morning, watched the concert, were emotionally devastated, and then we're like, right, sort shit out, get ready, record.
Yeah. By the way, I got your message where you were, it was like 5 a.m. my time, and you were like, where are you? My alarms all went off, and I hit snooze on all of them, and I woke up 7 minutes before it actually started.
Oh my God.
And I just like tore out of bed and like yelled at my husband like, get up!
Oh my God.
And we ran into the living room and I hooked everything up, and I like set it up just as the concert was starting.
Yeah, I sent you this. Wait, let me find it. I sent her this this morning. It was like 5:30 her time. And I said, is this you? And it says, wake up, beautiful.
So I saw that during at some point in the concert, and I didn't even understand what you were saying because I was still out of it. I saw the GIF, and then you wrote underneath it, you?
Question mark. Yeah, like, is this you?
Oh, I thought you meant like, if I had said, how are you? And you had said, I'm fine, you? But you sent me that GIF and you were like, you? And I was like, I can't English. It's too early. BTS has 99.99% of my attention right now.
Yeah, literally, like, sometimes I'll live tweet some of my thoughts while I'm watching things, and like I'll be like paying attention to it, and then like 5% of me is on Twitter, and like this time I was like, absolutely not. The only times I crawled out of my like BTS laser focused thing was to tweet, oh my fucking God, this remix about Dionysus. And I'm pretty sure that was it. And then at the end to just say, I'm never going to recover. And that was it.
All right. So we've got a lot to get through today. Why don't we just dive right into it?
Yes, let's. Oh, one more thing. Yeah, sorry for the delay in our episodes. We had a lot of struggles and busyness, and we've both been crazy busy. And last week we were supposed to record, but Yami messaged me and was like, I'll be ready in 10 minutes. And I had all my movers around and was in my pajamas packing. And I was like, and yeah, it was totally fine. I just thought it was really funny because the weeks prior to that, I was moving. That's why I'm all moved. And then like you're in process of moving now. Your process of moving is like 10 times as hard as mine is. So like, yeah,
totally
it's going to take like 3 weeks. But anyway, let's get started. We've got so much to do.
So we thought that we would kind of start with the most important thing right now, the concert.
Yes.
Oh my God. Where do we even start with this?
Right, okay, so I knew we would have this problem. So I noted down the set list so that we can start at the beginning and then be like, okay, yeah, this happened. Like, we don't have to go through everything, but just...
Do you have... Oh, by the way, I don't know if anybody can see. This is Jimmy. He's just sitting in my lap because you just see like a yellow lump. That's what's here. Did you have one overall thought for the concert? Because I have one overall thing I wanted to say. Here, I'll just say mine first. Watching that piece of art that they did made me understand all the more how and why they were so frustrated when COVID happened in like February, March, and April, where they realized they couldn't show any of this to us. Mm-hmm. I was like, I understand your pain now.
I think for me, the one thing that I thought of about it was just, it was such a relief. Like, the whole thing was so needed, and if I don't know, it was just such a difference to how everything else has been. Like, everything else has felt very, we just deal with it, we get through it, we like, and even though it was like making the best of a bad situation, like it just gave me so much hope. It made me feel so much stronger, so much less worried, so much more just to have that faith again of like, even in all of this, they can create something so beautiful. They can connect with people in this way. Like, they found, like Namjoon said in his speech, like, if there isn't a way, then let's create a new map. And that's what they did with this. Like, this concert was like, okay, nothing is possible in the world and the map that we are given. Let's try to create something new. I
found that was very beautiful. A beautiful way of saying it. Like, we will create our own map. We don't have to follow the path that someone else has set. But when you say map is like, we are not, path is one, a map is, we're going to go all of these different ways, not the way that anybody else has. And it's not just one answer, it's all the answers.
And I think this is the thing about BTS, is that they always find the option that nobody can see. Like, everything feels dark, everything feels like it has to be a certain way. We've been taught that it's this way and that's the way it is. And every time BTS creates a new way, every time. And it's like the same in this pandemic. And I think they and us have all felt a bit like, well, there's nothing you can do about this. It's so out of our control. Like, this is literally how it is. And they have done it again of like, yes, this is how it is, but but it doesn't have to be. We can find something new. We can go out of that box and create like a new space. And it just, again, it was just exactly them. And that's my takeaway from the concert, that they continually inspire me and make me see something that I can't see. And like, I study contemporary, like I studied the contemporary, what it means to be a contemporary, which is basically,
what does that mean?
So the like kind of theory behind it is to be a contemporary, to exist in the present moment, means that you are able to both exist within your time and without it. So you are aware of everything that is commonplace, everything that is normality, that is accepted. So you exist in your time, in your culture, in your society, but you also can look at it from a distance, from outside of your time, and see what everybody else can't see. And if you can do both of those things, then you are a true contemporary, and you are somebody that can make a change. And that's them to me, and they constantly make me think of that. They're true contemporary artists. They are the meaning of today and tomorrow, and they just constantly inspire me. And
I think
that
this
way.
is actually a good segue into something that I fixate and obsess over that I don't know if you do, which is their stage design and stage production.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, because I'm obsessed with it. And what is going on with my camera? Have you noticed it keeps changing my hair color?
No.
Okay, well, I'm pink right now. There. Did you see that?
Kind of. It's like partly pink, partly purple.
No. I just have to move around and it'll...
Oh, yeah.
Now it's purple. Anyway, my hair is a rainbow today. I have no control over this.
The light keeps changing.
I have no control. I'm not even changing the light. I don't know what's going on. I tried to turn down the light before to see if that would go back. I think it's still pink.
Oh, well, it's fun.
Whatever. Anyway, so one of the things, the way I... Fuck you, camera.
What is it doing? It's going purple, pink, purple, pink, purple, pink.
It's like that scene in Sleeping Beauty where the two fairies can't decide on Aurora's dress color, so they keep changing it back and forth.
Oh yeah, maybe your computer is like trying to decide whether it wants you to be pink or purple today. That is so weird. Why does it keep doing that?
This is very distracting.
I know. Well, let's just appreciate the fact that your hair keeps changing. Please continue talking about the stage design.
Okay, so the way I understand it, they were supposed to have this concert in a dome. The something, KSPS, I don't know, my husband told me. Some dome. And I don't know what their original design was, because I believe they were going to have one offline day and one online day. And so because they couldn't have people there, both of those days became online days. So, but the way it seemed to me, first of all, you could tell that they used the entire dome. They didn't just have a stage and a bunch of empty seats, because I think for an artist that is very demoralizing and, makes you sad. But for another, like, it allowed them to move all around between stages, and it created just like a sense of like a 3D environment for us as the audience. And also, I love that, like, there was one part where that might have been supposed to be the audiences. With audiences plural. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Audience. But they instead replaced them with army bombs.
Yeah.
And then put the people who won the raffle and were on screen behind. And I believe they had 500 armies there, because each screen was 10 by 10.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, a couple of things about that is, like, it's both a positive and a negative, isn't it, really? It's just different. Because you could tell that the way they had designed everything probably incorporated things that they were planning on doing, but made it more of like an online virtual experience. Because like some of the things that they did, they wouldn't have been able to do live, because like they moved from stage to stage to stage to stage, like because there were different areas, or they like had it where it was very much just enclosed into like, and having like the virtual things. And I mean, maybe they could have incorporated some of that, but it definitely felt very different.
Yeah, the audience, you have to interact with the audience in a different way.
Yes.
The thing I did want to say that I'm very impressed by is, the way I understand it, is that virtual concerts and pretty much like the success of those for artists, and especially K-pop artists, that all kind of began from BTS's Bang Bang Con The Live. Yeah. Like, they set the model. They were the first ones to work with that company, Kisway, and they broke Guinness World Records for like the most number of attendees for a live musical concert. And that just created the model for what it would look like for other K-pop artists to do the same. I saw a little bit of the Monsta X concert and the Twice concert. And like, as the months went by, all of the iterations of these concerts kind of evolved a little bit, but it was still the concept of like, you have like a talk show where the members talk to each other and, you know, reflect on their journey and try to like play a game. They read through the live chat from their fans watching, and they perform with some kind of backdrop. And that was pretty much it. And to see that instead of continuing that trend, with this concert, BTS revamped the whole idea of what you should do with an online concert.
Right? Because the thing is, like, this was as close to a concert, but with additional benefits that you could possibly create. Like, this felt exactly like a concert, like in terms of structure, in terms of how they kind of came across to the audience and the audience interaction and like the visuals and the audio and everything, but they could also do things which they can't do in person, like some of their designs or some of their like things, but it was as close to a normal concert as you can get, like
in terms of the way we as fans expect it, where you have an opening VCR, you have like chunks where it's VCR splitting up solo songs and group songs, and the story that they told throughout this concert was beautiful, where they went through the different aspects of the psyche from Jungian theory.
Wasn't the storyline and the narrative of the whole concert so incredibly done?
Yeah, that's probably why you and I were both sobbing for most of the concert.
Like I when it was playing that, it was right. And I think this is important as well because it happens in the album. In the album, I said this before in my album talk, 0 o'clock is the turning point of the album, I find. Like, obviously there are multiple turning points, but like 0 o'clock, and it's because you have and then you have 0 o'clock. So it's like it builds and builds and builds and builds and builds and builds and builds, like with all your emotions, all of your questioning and blah, blah, blah. And then without letting you work through that, it thrusts you into a totally different mood. Like I know a lot of people that have listened to the album and then have been like, oh yeah, I'm so hyped. And then 0 o'clock comes on and it's like, I don't know how to feel. Like, this is weird. But I think they do that on purpose because it's like, don't get caught up in this. Don't get caught up in all of these things. Don't like write it out. Like, keep going, keep passing through that journey. And they did the same thing with the concert. Like, they built you up and built you up and built you up. And then all of a sudden there was 0 o'clock. And then there was that beautiful VCR. Whereas all the VCRs before had been very dramatic and dark and like with the black paint and all of these things. And then you had like Jin like floating in the sky and Jimin's TVs and the clocks and Tay. I can't remember what Tay's was now. Oh, the tree that grew in space and stuff. I got really emotional at that point because it was like, we're building you up, but instead of like riding through that with you, like, we're going to thrust you into this new feeling, into this new mood. And then they had all of the vocal solos, and then they had like Ego and what came after Ego? Boy With Love. So it was all the like, it just, the whole emotional journey that they took you on was so perfect. And it really was like, we're going to question everything at the beginning. We're going to question what's going on, and then we're going to go through our pain, and then we're going to get really like angst up, and then we're just going to take that away from you and be like, no, like, let's move on. And then it's like, and now let's be happy again. And let's like, it was just everything. I loved the whole journey through the psyche. It was like everything they wanted from that psychology. It really came across. Yeah.
And the thing is, this is where BTS has always excelled in terms of their storytelling and their concerts. I've seen no other artist anywhere match them in their ability to take you, like, they don't just entertain you when they have
it's not just like, here's our songs, we'll play them.
Yeah, like, let's sing along together. It's it forces you to think. It forces you to analyze what you're seeing. Like, of course you can come and just enjoy the songs, but if you're looking for more, and I'm someone who I always want more, I want to be intellectually engaged with what I'm enjoying.
And I want to be emotionally moved.
Yeah. And I want to feel like there was a purpose to me doing something. I'm just, me personally, I'm not a fan of like mindless stuff. But like, I want to have value for whatever depth. Yeah. So BTS have always been able to do that. And for them, and that's why I was saying, like, this is what they wanted to show us. This is the emotional and like mental, intellectual, spiritual journey they wanted to take us through Map of the Soul concerts, and they couldn't give it to us.
Yeah, and it's like this whole, like, we had the album and that was kind of like a resolution, but like, I think for everyone, this concert, for them and for ARMYs, would have been that like journey, that final journey that you work through together. Like, until it's like with Love Yourself as well, isn't it? Like, you get the album and it's great, but then when you have the tour and you go through that journey in that short period all together, it's like, now it feels like we really have done this together. We've really tried to love ourselves. And it's the same with this, was like, now we know we've really tried.
We've accepted all the parts of ourselves.
Yes. And like, I think, because you see it with all of the members, they all say, like, as we were going further along on our Love Yourself tour and our Speak Yourself tour, like, it hit us at a certain point, like, because you can say it and you can express it and you can feel it, but like, there has to be a certain layer for it to really sink in. And I feel like that's what the concert is. And I don't know, I totally get what you mean. Like, there wasn't that resolution, there wasn't that final, like, okay, I feel like we have made a start here. So that was just a shame. But the other thing I wanted to say is, so like, my one takeaway from the concert in terms of like a technological aspect, I would say, is the way that they are able to combine multiple artistic practices into one event is phenomenal. Like, they are not just music artists, they are not just performers. They showcase incredible set designs, storytelling, dance performances, like music, emotions. Like, they are the amalgamation of all different forms of culture and art, like, making one package. And that's what they kind of, Yoongi defined, like, K-pop is more than just the music. It's about like an overall experience of art. And they just exemplify that more than anything I've ever seen. Because most people stay with one thing, like, this is what we're good at, this is what we do.
We don't want to try something else and fail.
Yeah, and like, if you want to listen to music, you go to a music artist. If you want to hear a story, you go and read a book. If you like, it's separate. And BTS takes everything from all of these things, and not just them, but their team of creative people, all combined to put it all together. And that's why it's so overwhelming, because you're like, I'm not used to getting it all at once. Like, it's so invigorating.
The other thing I will add is, I think that they have the capacity and the space to do that, because ARMY is a fandom where we care about every little detail.
Yes.
We will take the time to educate ourselves, to analyze, to theorize. Like, we are not a passive consumer. We want to actively engage, and we have a long memory. So the other aspect that I think ties back to what you say is them as contemporary artists, BTS revisited the past through their performance at the concert today by going all the way back to No, to Bulletproof Part 2, to No More Dream. And also, I don't know if you noticed, but in their VCRs, they had like the horns, and it's the same horn that they played for Dionysus in the MMA performance in 2019. So,
and they did their that performance, that military style dance performance. They redid it. You know, the one where they're all in uniforms and they're like, and they're like, they did that again.
Was that the thing at the very beginning?
I'm not sure where it came, actually. I think it was before No.
Okay, I was still half asleep. So when I would do the rewatch, I will check that out. But yeah, so it's like, as you watch, and if you're a fan and you know all these songs, you know how much they've struggled in the beginning to be accepted and, you know, seen as true artists in Korea and in the world. To see them performing those same songs that they performed all those years ago, but now layered with their growth in terms of their wisdom, their talents, their understanding and self-composure, all of that comes across in these songs now. And when you watch it, it's just, you as the viewer go, I see the time has passed and you've accepted yourself, because you are performing these same songs that you performed in the beginning, the songs that you got ridiculed for, and here you're saying, fuck you, these were amazing. Here's my debut song, No More Dream. Look how fucking amazing it is. Fuck all of you who never, you know, saw us for who we were.
Also, to add to that, like, they revamped them. Like, they gave them new remixes and, like,
The
certain
arrangements were
dance breaks.
amazing. Yeah.
Oh, so incredible. And it was like, we're still these people, but we can, like, we've also grown. Like, they were so incredible seeing those performances again and seeing how they changed them. And do you know, one thing I noticed is that there was not a single performance that was a repeat. Everything they had previously performed had been revamped with the music, with the way that they, like, the choreo. And the only ones that were like what we've seen were On and Black Swan, because they were the new songs. And like with Boy With Love, they had the Umbrellas. With Dionysus, they had the new remix. Like, they constantly mix it up. Like, they brought something new. They wanted you to not, like, it wasn't repeatable. It wasn't just, we're just going to keep doing the same thing over and over again.
Do you know what I was thinking when I had that same thought? Those, like, scenes from Break the Silence, their documentary, where they're like, we're constantly thinking of, is this dull? Is this stale? How do we make this new? How do we make this exciting for the viewer and for us? How do we always reinvent ourselves in a way that keeps us fresh and engaging and as charismatic and magnetic as we can be?
And it's so awesome because most people, like, they'll play their old songs and it's great because it's like a blast from the past. But with BTS, like, they do that, but then they change that too. They just always go the extra mile. Like, they don't have to, but they do. And it makes it so cool.
Because you can tell how much work and how much effort they've put into every tiny detail. Everything has been thought out to such a degree that you can't help but appreciate the amount of time that was invested on your behalf. Yeah, love.
Ugh, it's just incredible, honestly. Let's get a bit more into, like, the actual concert. Like I say, I've got the set list, so we'll just go through it quickly. So yeah, they started with On, which, when it first came on and they had the live marching band, that was so epic. That was so epic.
Sorry, one more thing I wanted to say. So they repeatedly had the sign that says, like, oh, we're complying with, COVID prevention measures. Can you imagine the logistics of doing that right? All of those people who are on the stage would have had to be quarantined, as well as all of the staff, the backstage staff, all the production staff. Everyone has been quarantined. Everybody has been tested, and everyone, so it's like the amount of people that were probably holed up in a hotel somewhere and, like, not allowed to go anywhere, everything was delivered to them. They were probably all still planning and trying to figure out how to do all of this, and they're not able to see anyone except the other people who have also been quarantined. So many people, like, it's this huge like living and like organism of people trying to make this 2 hour concert work. I just appreciated that so much. I'm like, and that shit isn't cheap.
Yep.
So
and
much
that's the
effort.
thing, again, about them going the extra mile. They always go the extra mile. They don't have to do it. And I know that they're going to be making money from it, but, like, they could make money in many ways. Like, they could quite easily do something a lot smaller or replay old things. But, like, I think it's partly because, like, it's for ARMYs who want to do it, but also for BTS. Like, they really respect, like, really respect their artists' need to be doing something and not just like, oh, we need to make money. Like,
well, that's Big Hit's philosophy that they talk about in the press conferences, that, like, their priority is high quality. They're not going to do something unless they can do it well.
Yeah.
And that is their brand. Like, we will give you high quality everything, products, performances, songs, albums. It will all be worth your time. They don't, and in that way, it's respecting the fan.
Yeah. But anyway, let's go to this set list. So yeah, the live marching band, I just fucking thought it was awesome. And when it first came on, I was like, oh, this would have been so cool in a concert.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was so nice to see.
I have a question for you. I was thinking about this the other day. Would you say that marching bands are, like, an American thing?
Yes.
Yeah, because I was thinking about it and I was like, I bet my appreciation of that marching band is different from people not from the US, because I grew up with marching bands. They were in high school. I saw them every football game. I was in band myself when I was, like, younger. Like, I really appreciate that. And there was, like, a couple years ago, there was some college marching band where they would perform BTS songs. and it's on YouTube. Is it Tennessee? I can't remember where
I think I've seen it, yeah.
And they did Idol, and they did something else. And I remember the first time I ever saw it, I burst into tears because for me, it's this true combination of like who I am, my identity as somebody who grew up in America, and like my cultural identity, and then my love of BTS, which is my heart. So it's my identity and my love combined in this format that I never knew would hit me as hard as it did when I saw it. And that's why I always loved On so much, because I was like, I cannot believe they've actually done this. So when
they had a gospel choir as well.
Yes. So when I watched them perform with that marching band, when they were also doing it at Central Station and in their music video, it hits me on a raw level because it's part of my identity, and like there's nothing protecting that.
No, I love that. It is so cool. I've always thought marching bands were super cool, but yeah, like I don't think I've ever seen one in person. I've just kind of know of them, know the sound, and
one day when COVID ends, I will take you somewhere.
Yes, when I come to visit you, you can show me a marching band. Okay, so yeah, they went from On into No, and was it No that had that fucking epic dance break?
Yes, they brought it back. Well, so I loved that they did this, and also that like we had all of the hints of this during their performances, like, you know.
And they did it with the marching band. Like they incorporated the marching band into No, and it was so cool. And then when they all started dancing and it was like a new dance routine, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. And it's like, it's like those points where you just sit in your seat and you're not making any noise, you're just staring, you're like, I need to soak all this in. There's so much going on at once and I cannot, like, it's overload. Like, that's how I felt.
Yeah, like I don't know about you, but didn't you feel like from the second it started, from the second they came out, you were like, oh man, okay. Because I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know if it would be like a full-on concert, if it would be like Bang Bang Con, because Bang Bang Con was so fun, but it was definitely very different. And then as soon as it started, they had the marching band, and then when they did like this No performance, and I was like, oh, okay, this is what we're getting. Fucking hell, okay, I need to brace myself because this is about to be insane.
That was the moment I knew that this was the real concert that was supposed to have happened, because it was so beautifully tied in with their performances last award season. And how they had that amazing, like, all of their songs and Dionysus and the No dance break at MMA 2019, like all of that. I was like, this is what should have followed. And I was wondering, I'm like, I hope they don't think that any of us would ever forget like all of the references that they make, because no, like to me it was like, oh, no time has passed. I know exactly what all the references we heard before and like what we were like, how it's all supposed to tie into this. Like, and I was like, don't worry, BTS, we're on the same fucking page. We will always be on the same page.
Always. Yeah. Okay, so then we had We Are Bulletproof Part 2, which was just awesome because I love seeing them perform
those old songs. To me, they're the most massive, beautiful, artistic, talented. Fuck you. Like,
I know, and it's like, and it's such a different sound, but they still do it so well. And the whole discography is just everything. I love it so much, and it's so cool seeing them perform like in concert these really old songs.
Do you think it was clearly a live band that was that they had made these musical arrangements with for these songs, but do you think it was playing live, or do you think they were just recorded?
Well, I know that I can't remember which producer it was now, but somebody said that they had arranged the live band. But my thought is it probably was a live band, but it was recorded, because normally they would introduce their band and like they would be shown. Yeah. But then again, like in some other tours that I've seen, like people go backstage and then thank their band afterwards. So I'm not sure actually.
Yeah, because I was like, it's only 2 days.
Yeah. Okay, so next, oh my god, this might have been one of my favorite of the solos, was Persona. Yeah. Can we talk about the difference I felt, maybe I'm off, but this was my interpretation, from how he performed it at the awards show to now? And the difference I noted was it felt like he was just using this performance and this song to release all the rage he had. It felt so raw and angry to me, whereas like the previous performance was like still very questioning and like unsure and confident, but this one, like his the way he kind of delivered it, and his face and his words, and it just felt so angry to me, but in a like cathartic way.
So again, this is still the beginning. I was still struggling to wake up. But I did feel something like that. And I was like, maybe it was anger. Maybe that's what it was. Because I also was like, he's not here with his priority being to perform and display this in the best way possible. It's right now, it feels like maybe it was a cathartic experience for him.
That's what I was thinking, because it felt like it was him using this music and this performance to just fully be free, to like, to get out everything that he's been holding in, to lay it all down on the stage. I just felt it. Like, I felt that kind of, I don't know. And it's not that he was not doing it for the show or whatever. I feel like maybe this song has a different meaning to him now after having experienced all of this. And it was just a way of...
Yeah, considering how they've talked in V Lives and at the end of this concert about how they've questioned who they are and their identity when they can't perform, when they can't do what they've always done. And this song, Persona, is about him questioning his identity. Like, who am I? Am I this? Am I that? Am I everything? Am I nothing? Like, everything contradicts each other. And him singing that. I'm gonna be very excited to rewatch it later tonight and see if I get that. I
felt it in my chest, and it was like, because you're right about the song, like it's who am I, this is what I want to do, I don't really know who I am. And I feel like before it was very much a philosophical thing, whereas now he's in the midst of that, he's questioning that. Like, they have spent a long time promoting in the West as well, which I'm sure has been a bit difficult. And they've all kind of lost part of their identity because they're not performing, and everything is kind of promotion rather than actual like artistry, I guess. Like, they kind of do that because it's part of the job description, but like it's not what they love. And so this time it felt like not philosophical, it felt like a struggle, like a battle, like it just was so raw.
Also because the other part of the chorus is him saying, I just want to give you all the shoulders when you cry. It's him being like, I'm struggling with my identity and who it is that I am, but
I'm pushing through.
Yeah, but I do know that I want to support there. I want to be there for you because that helps me.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening in this concert, like, right? Yeah. Like, they're struggling in COVID, they're struggling to understand who they are, and at the same time, they still want to connect. They still want to be with ARMY, with their fans.
Yeah, and like he said it in his endment, like, we are strong. We've always found a way. We'll do it. Like, that implies to me that, like, this is fucking hard. This sucks, but we do it anyway. Like, and I don't know, I just...
Isn't that what his philosophy always has been?
Right, but I don't know about you, if you've noticed, but it felt like he was wavering in it. Like, for the last few months, he's felt very unsure and very, like, just not because he has a very strong belief and faith to just, I've described it to you before as like an optimistic realism, like being aware of the reality and how hard things are, but believing anyway, continuing anyway. And like with his V Live and everything, like, I think we all go through that time where it's like, it's so hard to find that belief. It's so hard to keep hold of that faith. And I don't know, I just felt like this song and this performance really changed the song for me. Not that I liked either better, it was just, it gave it a whole new meaning. And when I was watching, I was like, oh,
I need to rewatch it. Yeah.
So
what came after that?
Then we had Boy in Love, which was awesome. I always love seeing Jungkook rapping as well.
I love that just it feels like a part one and a part two. Part one is Persona, part two is Boy in Love.
Yeah, and like this whole beginning, because they did that at the award show as well, and this beginning segment is very like raw, angry. Like, I just said that in the cutest possible way to say angry, but like
angry.
But it was just very, we're coming, we're fighting, we're like we're getting this across. And all of the songs that they performed at the beginning with that like attitude, and it's actually they had when they first debuted, isn't it?
It's the like fire of youth. The fire of youth and wanting to prove yourself.
And then we had Dionysus, which also links into this.
Okay, that remix.
Oh my god.
That remix was amazing.
I need to listen to it again because it was like
hip hoppy, trappy.
Yeah, right? It was so good. I was like, when I was listening to it, I was fully dancing at this point. Like, this was when I fully started. My dog.
Your dog was dancing and enjoying it as well.
He was. But I was dancing, but like I was not dancing normally. It proper got into my bones, and I was just like, this is everything. And I just loved it so much. I loved how it changed like the whole vibe of the song.
Mm-hmm.
The whole vibe of the song felt completely different. It was like sexy. It was, I don't know how
You know what? If you, the original Dionysus, I never know how to pronounce the fucking song title. Dionysus, like, the original one sounds like drunk partying, like rock star, like, access. Like the, you know, the access of a rock star. And this version is like more confident, almost having swag, but not the, like the, I know I'm this good. I'm seducing myself. I'm intoxicated in this.
Yeah, it was awesome. It just gave it this whole like sexy vibe that was really like, confident, like you say. I loved it so much. I thought it was so good. And when I was watching it, I was like, I bet this is my favorite performance of the night. I mean, I can't choose now because they were all so good, but it was definitely up there. Yeah,
I mean, I was also just gonna say, like, I didn't know that this was a remix I needed until I heard it, because, you know, we talked about how, like, the original is a phenomenal song, but it's not our sound, so it's not like a song that I would typically seek out and listen to. But the like this hip hop trap remix, this is more of the sound I like. And I was like, you took something that I already loved and you added in an extra layer that feels like the song was now customized for me. And it's like wiggled into my brain, and I'm like, I need more of it.
Yeah.
Are they going to give us these songs? Because
I really hope so, because I love all the remixes so much.
I'm really mad when they like tease us with these remixes and then never give them. And I'm just like, come on. Why? Why do you keep them to yourself?
I know. Like, just give them to us.
Especially because, you know, when they give it to us, like, ARMYs are so creative. They'll immediately remix it even further. We'll mash it up. We'll make new music videos out of it. Like, come on, give us something to work with.
Yeah. Okay, right, moving on. So then we had Shadow. So this was the first performance that we'd never seen before.
This was so cool. The stage was
so creative.
Also, the was this where they had the VCR where everything was like dark and scary? And I was watching it with my husband, and he was like, I didn't know this was a scary movie. And we were like, what is going on? It's so beautifully done, but it's so like, you can feel the descending into your shadow as you watch that VCR. And it really
like Tay's like evil smile that he did.
Oh my god, he is a king on camera. I don't know what it is, but he always knows how to look into the camera in a way where
facial expressions.
Yes, it's just, I'm like, oh, how do you do this? Like, you must have no shame, because he's literally making love to the camera, and it's working.
I know.
It's working.
I like couldn't believe it. It was like the type of like look that was like, I'm going to devour you.
Yes.
I'm going to love every second.
Yeah, and I was sitting there, I was just like,
but didn't that VCR feel like one of those like really sexual BDSM trailers that armies make?
Yeah.
Like, it was one of those like things that I see on Twitter of like really like chaotic and crazy music that was really like disturbing, and then really like evil types.
Well,
I was like, did an army make this?
Yeah, maybe big hit staff draw inspiration from ARMY. You never know.
Maybe. But yeah, that VCR was awesome.
Yeah, it was. And then it really puts you into the right headspace for Shadow, because you're like, I've descended into this dark place. And then Yoongi walking down that hallway and all of the hands was so creative. Do you see the hand that hit him in the head?
Yeah, I did. And I thought when that happened, I was like, I wonder like how they rehearse this and like how they know when to like come through and to not, and like
it's I think it's see-through.
Oh, okay, yeah. But it was so cool to me, like, and it was the type of thing that you would genuinely see in a modern art gallery.
Oh, they were actually in a horror movie. I'm like, yeah.
Well, yeah. But like, if you were to go to one of those like exhibitions of like contemporary art where they have all these installations and you walk through them, it felt so much like an art piece. Like, it really made me think that when I was watching it, and I just thought it was so cool. So
I think it's really mature. Yeah. Like, I'm very proud of them for experimenting with this stuff. I think it ties into BTS Connect BTS Connect things, art.
Yeah.
That project.
Yeah.
And
is it modern art or is it contemporary art? I can never tell which one I'm talking about.
I looked this up before. contemporary art is a type of modern art. One is a type of the other. I never remember which is which.
Okay.
Or maybe that's just modern dance. Modern dance and contemporary dance. Contemporary dance is a type of modern. Fuck it, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, and I totally agree with you. It was very like you could watch it and interpret it. And I also think that this is one of those moments where they are contemporary artists in the sense that you as the fan, because you know what kind of lifestyle they live, because you know how much they struggle with their fame,
Yes.
and with the fact that there's so many people who adore them and want to be as close as possible that they can't go out in public without people always reaching for them. They can't, and they can't jump off a stage like Jungkook did in Paris, I think, without people like trying to maul him. And they can't go anywhere without cameras. They can't perform even without a sea of cameras pointed at them. It's like, it's both good and bad, and you understand both sides of it. And all of that is reflected in that moment as Yoongi performs Shadow. And you're...
Yeah, I mean, I interpret it in a different way.
How so?
To me, it felt more like, I mean, I think both are very, like, evident. But for me, I always see it as kind of like your inner demons. Like, you can't escape them. And in terms of, like, how your outer demons reflect you, like being in the public eye, having to like suppress certain parts of yourself, but like you can't escape them. They are there and they're always like reaching for you. And this idea of like the shadow that's trying to take over you and you're trying to run away from it when you can't. You need to like find a balance and accept it. And yeah, that's kind of how I view it. But
I like that interpretation too.
But this also, I thought this was something that was very cleverly done for online.
Yes.
Like, Yoongi's performance, I don't think they could have done it the way they did it.
No.
Not
Same
online.
thing with the stage. Like when he was in that 3D stage where it was the walls and the floor. And I loved when they were filming him from the camera down and you saw like those shadow people crawling towards him. And it was so well done that you couldn't tell if they were real or fake people.
Yeah.
And like in between them, there were the backup dancers. So like when they went away, all of a sudden you had backup dancers stand up and start dancing with them. It looked like they materialized out of the stage. Like those are you're right. These are the kinds of like magic tricks and like tricks of perception that you can only achieve when it's an online concert.
Exactly. So there like are like benefits to it as well, which I thought was cool. And the other thing that I loved about this performance was Yoongi fully, like we've talked before about how Shadow is so experimental and so like you're this person, but you're this person, you're this emotion, but then you're this emotion. It's very like the musicality, the way he delivers his lines, the words that he's speaking, it's all very chaotic. And he performed it in that way as well. I felt like when he did the beginning and it was kind of timid and then it was building up. And then like when he got to the bit where he was singing the chorus and it just felt so desperate to me. Like I've never seen him sing like that before. Like we've seen him sing, but I've never seen him sing like that. It was with so much passion, emotion, like desperation, confusion. And he delivered it so well. And this is one of the things about BTS that I always love so much. Like you can sing a song, but then you can like put your soul into what you're doing and your delivery, and you can make the person at home feel it with you. And the chorus was so desperate. And then like the second verse was so lost. And I always get that from the second verse of like when you're like, in the corner of your room in the dark and you're just like beating yourself up. And then when it got to the end and he changed into his shadow, that wardrobe change, by the way, what the fuck?
That was so cool. I don't know how he did that.
Cool.
Yeah. Well,
and
going
then
from white to black. I was just like, am I still half asleep? Did I miss the change?
How did that happen? And then, so then he became like this taunting, almost evil side, but like with this kind of resolve. It was just so cool how he personally changed his style of delivery throughout this whole performance to fit the song, and it was so him and it was so experimental and it was just amazing.
It sounds like it was cathartic for him as well.
Yeah, I thought so. And then when they all like crowded him and then they came out and everyone was there in their starting position for Black Swan.
I know. Well, that's another thing where like Shadow is part 1 and part 2 is Black Swan.
Yes.
Black Swan, amazing as always. The part where I burst into tears for the first time was the dance solo with Jimin afterward.
Me too.
Because the minute I heard those fucking violins and the strings from like the orchestral version, I literally I started swearing. I was like, fuck no, why would you do this to me? I could never listen to that song without getting upset. Ever. It's not fair. That song is one giant emotional like pit of despair. And I'm like, you put this in this concert, and then Jimin crumples to the ground, and he's just emoting suffering and like struggling and torture for your art and hoping and not. And I was just sobbing.
Yeah, that's when I started.
You guys, I loved it. I hate you though.
But yeah, like this is one thing I love about contemporary dance, and I always have, is it's not so much about looking good. It's about portraying an emotion or a concept. And it was such a powerful rendition of pain, but also of a swan, like the movements. And there was one specific movement, I can't remember what it is now, I'm gonna have to rewatch it, that like it looked so awkward, but it was so powerful, and it was clearly meant to be that way. And I thought maybe they'd taken some inspiration from the actual dance company, because they did the same kind of thing. Like, it looks strange, it feels uncomfortable, but it's got such a cool emotional representation of what they're trying to portray. And Jimin was so amazing at it. And we've had this conversation before about Jimin just has this way of just narrating with his movements, with his body. He's such a storyteller when it comes to dance. He makes you feel things when he's dancing. It was so powerful, and it was so cool. And this is kind of even what we were saying before. Again, like, they added this extra depth to something we'd already seen with the version and the dance, and it was so beautiful. And yeah, I cried too. I was like, oh.
Yeah, and I think it was also unexpected. Like, it totally caught me off guard, because I was like, oh, Black Swan, I love the song. And then it ended, and I'm like, and now we'll transition to the next one. And then they all left, and Jimin was still there. And his dancing, first off, I am so glad that he has found a way to express this talent of his that he went to school for. Like, this is clearly something that's very near and dear to his heart, that he's very passionate about. And
he's very good at. Like,
he's fucking phenomenal at it. Right? Like I've never been so engaged in that. And also, that is my favorite type of dancing. So, like, I love seeing him do that. And I, like, the first time when I saw that VCR for Speak Yourself, the final in Seoul, I think, where like they changed it where it's just him dancing. I was like so happy. And then at that year-end show, he got to dance, on the stage by himself. And then to I Need You. And then now this, I was like, I'm so proud of you for coming into your own and being able to display this beautiful thing that you can do, that we all love seeing you do.
It was so good.
Yeah. And I love how it fades. His dance faded straight away into the VCR, and the VCR continued it. And was that the one where it was like the dark thing in reverse?
I'm not sure, because I paid attention to the VCRs, but I didn't note them down, and I don't know where they came.
That's fine. We'll rewatch it later.
Yeah. But yeah, the next was
Oh yeah, I was just emotionally devastated after that, and I cried all through the VCR, and then the lights come up and it's and I'm like, I feel like this song is punching me in the face. It's just like, like slapping me in the face, like, snap out of it, we're moving on. And I'm like, okay. And then they come out with their like boxing gloves. I'm like, okay, you are here to beat me up. Okay, I'll get my shit together.
In regards to the performance, it was just everything I was expecting, everything I wanted to be and more, and like the set design was awesome. But the one thing that fully took me out, right? Like, because I was expecting it to be fucking amazing. I was expecting them to deliver and to be like proper hyped up and everything. But then when they went to the musical break, right? And they all like got into their position, and it was like building and building and building, and they were just about to dance. And I was like, oh my God, this is going to be so badass. This is going to be so powerful. And then they just did that really slow, like move to the side and then move to the other side. And it was so unexpected. It was such a like fugia because I thought they were going to do some really like powerful, like
Me too.
punchy, strong moves, and then
Me
they
too.
just like brought this sexy, slow like bop to the side, and my mouth dropped. I was like, because it just like took me so by surprise, and it was
so much.
perfect.
It's like the three of them had the biggest chip on their shoulder. Like, what are you gonna do about it?
And it was like, oh, it was so cool. Like, I don't know if they've ever looked so cool.
Mm-hmm. The other thing is I love the stage. It's like they're supposed to be like boxers in a boxing ring. But then in the background, why was everyone in jail?
Yeah, I know. And then they were all holding up like sugar signs. That was cool.
Yeah, I like that. But then my husband kept commenting on it. He's like, "Is this like an underground boxing ring in a jail? Like, is that what's going on?" And I was like, "I guess."
I guess, yeah. I mean, it's about like anger for no reason. Well,
Yeah.
not anger for no reason, but about like anger that is malicious, or I don't know. It was just so cool, and it was so cool when Hobie came out. And
I love that he didn't start with them.
I know.
He just came out for his part. He's like,
I know, it was so iconic. He was like, yeah, and now I'm here, bitches. Because I don't know if we've spoken about this before, but like Hobie's verse to me is the apex of It's like, oh, you thought it was good? Now I'm coming. Like, I fucking love his verse in and he just comes out and like adds that extra flavor to it. It was everything. I loved it.
Yeah. 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
What came
And
after that?
We've already spoke about this, but they immediately came after with 0 o'clock, which was just so beautiful. And their choreo.
Yeah.
It was so cute. I really liked it.
Yeah, I was like 0 o'clock as choreo. Okay.
Yeah, right. Because it was just a little bit, but it was just really nice.
Yeah.
And
I also like that was where they were standing in front of or like behind them was the stands with all the army bombs. And
yeah, and their costumes were so nice for this. I loved them.
I also think that for them as an artist, this was a new artistic performing experience, because instead of always being in one place looking out at either a crowd or more recently at an empty room with empty seats and then people with cameras, now it's they see the screens full of fans, and we'll talk about that some more later, but also when they move stages, they're seeing like something else each time. And if you've noticed, there were screens on all the stages. Yeah. And they all had the capability of showing fans, because at like various times when the camera panned around, you could see fans coming and, going from the screens. So I bet whenever BTS moved, whatever the screen was that they were now facing that we as the audience couldn't see was ARMY's.
Probably.
So for them, ARMY's just moved with them everywhere they went.
I really hope it was like that. But a quick side note, do you think they knew about this?
What do you mean?
Because, or like maybe they kind of knew but didn't know what to expect, because when they first showed ARMYs on the screen and like you heard them and everything, they seemed really surprised by it. And then like at the end, they all again seemed quite surprised that they could interact so much. Like they were saying, oh, we wondered if it would just be like another promotion, but then like seeing you and hearing you gave us so much strength.
I heard from what I saw on Twitter is that when like there was a rehearsal for ARMYs for this on like Thursday, I think. And, and it was a tech rehearsal, so BTS wasn't there, and it was just them making sure that everything was working correctly with the staff. So I think this was BTS's first time seeing it the way it was supposed to be done. I bet part of it was kept as a surprise for them. Or maybe they were told what would happen, but they didn't know what it looked like. And I also think it's never the same as the real in-the-moment experience of you're performing. You have to focus on doing a good job, but you also see fans reacting to what you're doing. And whenever you do something, you see them reacting even more. Like it's the closest thing that they can get to a real concert. So I think it just overwhelmed them.
Yeah, and like we spoke about this before, didn't we, when we were talking about Bang Bang Con, because we were saying like how can we make it so that it's like a real concert? And we had certain ideas of like,
Oh, you want to have this discussion now? Did I not fucking call it?
I mean, I'm pretty sure that was my idea.
What?
To have the screens with armies and their voices. Was it not?
No, we talked about it, but honestly, we both had the same idea.
Yeah, we were talking about this.
But like what I talked about was that when you are a performer, you need feedback from your audience in order to keep going, or else it feels like you're performing into a void, and all of your energy and motivation and good mood gets sucked away from you, and it doesn't come back. The audience is who reflects it back.
Exactly. Like, you see them and then you feel recharged again and you can keep going. But like, that's the one thing that we spoke about Bang Bang Con, is that it was nice, but it felt sad because, like, even though we could see them,
they couldn't see us.
They couldn't see us, and it just felt really like lonely and empty. And we were saying like that we hoped that they would find a way of doing this, and they did. And the way they did it was so amazing, like the cheers and everything, and the way that they were singing, even though it was like kind of like 2 seconds behind.
It was so bad. It was so funny, but it was so sweet. And seeing how happy it made BTS was worth it.
Oh my god, it made me so happy, and it just felt like they for the first time could really feel our presence, because like we said before, like seeing comments or seeing numbers, like it doesn't feel like it's personal, whereas seeing faces, hearing voices, like that's personal, that's, you know, they're there. And I just loved it.
I mean, like, a number doesn't mean anything. Like, if I told you right now, oh, there's 3,000 people watching what you're doing right now, you'd be like, okay, where are they? Are they interacting with me? Like, it doesn't mean, like, a number doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. But if you saw all their faces like on the wall in front of you and they were like talking, then you'd be like, oh my god, like amazing.
And then every time you tell them like make some noise, they do. And you're like, oh my god, these are real people.
Yeah, and it got me. Well, actually, we'll just save this for later because we're gonna.
All right, fine. What came after 0 o'clock?
Then we had that incredible VCR of them all like finally like transitioning into this like soft, like, I don't know, just their things, and their VCRs were awesome. The one with the JK and the clocks and blah blah blah.
Yeah, the vocal
so
line
then we
one.
had and then we had My Time, which was just so epic.
James Dean lookalike bad boy motorcycle.
Oh my god. He was like a rock star. He was every like bad boy girl fantasy's dream. In his leather and his like hair, and it was, and his dance moves, and it was just everything.
And I loved what he chose to sing. Like, because there was a part where there's like an ad lib or like in the background of the song, and there's like the main chorus that's being sung, and he just skipped the chorus and let it play and sang the ad lib instead, and it gave the song so much texture.
Yes, and this was actually some. Go ahead. Finish what you were saying.
I was gonna say, it makes the song new to the listener, because how many times have we all listened to fucking My Time? We've streamed it to the 8 millionth like time, like, and now it's like we're gonna switch the song, and it's like a gift, it's a treat.
Yeah, and what I was gonna say is like this was one thing that I did notice throughout, was that they had very strategically picked which lines they were going to sing. Normally they haven't done this, but it was like planned so that like sometimes they would play the backing vocal that the person would normally sing, and then they would sing the bits they chose to sing. Whereas normally when they perform, like, it's just you'll hear the kind of the silence or the muted vocal when they choose not to sing something. But this was kind of like, it felt very strategically planned so that they knew which lines they were going to sing, and it meant that they got a lot more room for like to be able to breathe properly, to be able to perform properly, because like they wouldn't sing every word, but it wouldn't feel like it was missing because it would be played. And I thought that was really interesting, actually, that they've kind of like taken their live performances in a different direction. Like it felt fuller, and it was really cool to see that.
I'm glad you brought that up, because it's actually something I've been observing they've been experimenting with their sound mixing in all of their performances since the pandemic hit.
Yes.
And like playing with how they make the backing vocals versus the live vocals work, how they magnify the live vocals at points, mute them at others. And I think it's a very interesting thing to do, and it's like I love to see this experimentation because in the past, if you have a live concert, there's so many screaming fans in the stadium and there's an echoing effect happening that the focus is on the person singing live, and you try to do your best to make the backing vocals support the artist but not overwhelm them. And there is like also room for error because the live audience is not going to hear everything because they're screaming and everybody else is screaming. But when you have when you have a recorded concert, people are at home. There's a lot less noise distorting the vocals. So we are equipped and, you know, kind of expecting to hear the full song. Same with all of their like COVID performances on all like the Tonight Show and wherever else. So they've played with their vocals so that they sound fuller, and they haven't shied away from places where they just don't sing it, so that the sound stays consistent and they can perform it. They've essentially are like treating all of these as like music videos instead of just like here's me on a stage performing, because there is no live audience to appreciate the live version of it.
That's actually a very good point, and I think you're right. Like, because normally, like, it doesn't matter if you like are having problems like breathing fully. My dog. Yes, go away.
The side eye.
He's moaning at me for some reason. They're human beings. They will not be able to sing every note perfectly when they're live. And normally in concerts, like, it doesn't matter because, like, you have the audience. Like, it really makes no difference. It's very loud anyway.
They prioritize the performance because that's what you see.
Exactly. Whereas with recorded ones, like, there is no sound to cover it. And whatever they've been doing has worked perfectly, because I don't know about you, but there was no imperfections in their vocals. It was perfect. The way they were singing, the way they were performing was so on point. And I think it's because they must have practiced a lot and figured out which parts they kind of get a bit shaky on, and then taken those bits out so that they could rearrange their breathing techniques. Because obviously when you're performing, like, you have to have certain moments of the song when you breathe, like you structure in pauses and things like that. And so they've done that and then filled it by the backing track, so that everything sounds so on point and there's like no imperfection, and it was just so cool.
Yeah, I think it's very just creative and very smart, because you know, and this, I will say that I kind of don't like it when fans say like BTS sing everything live. They like, unlike other artists, they're just gods. No, they're human.
Yes.
But what they are prioritizing, what they've always tried to prioritize, is the fans' experience. And so they want to present to you a perfect performance, or as close as they can get, and a perfect sound, or as close as they can get. And that means that they do take out parts where they sing, and they increase the backing. And this is even true in their concerts. Like, I'm thinking of Jimin during Serendipity. Especially in Love Yourself, there was a lot more that he didn't sing because his dancing was so hard. Like, he was doing like flips on the stage. Like, no, like he focused on the performance and let the music play on its own. I'm thinking of Just Dance. There was parts where Hobie let the music play and like let the backing play without singing, and so like that was their way of trying to handle it live. And now in this live concert time, this is them trying to figure out how to make it more enjoyable for you in this new way. And it doesn't mean that they're less of a performer or that they're less talented. It means that they are actually more creative, and they're willing to experiment and go the extra mile to make it more pleasant and enjoyable for you at home. And I think that is so commendable and admirable.
Honestly, what's telling about a fantastic singer is that, like, you know when to pause, you know when not to sing, so that you can give the best possible performance. And like with BTS, like they always do sing live, but they have bits when they don't. But the other thing that's really cool about it is you can very easily tell. Like they don't try to hide it. They don't try to like say, oh, we're singing live all the time, and this, you can tell, like, you know when they're singing, when they're not singing, and what creative decisions they've made on certain lines that they're gonna like pull out as a backing track, and it just makes it feel much more full. And that's the thing, because they give the whole package. They can't just concentrate on one thing, because they're also dancing, they're also telling a story, they're also they're
also
amazing.
trying to, you know, dance with props. You know, like, it's just so many moving parts. I appreciate it all the more.
And it takes so much hard work to be able to, like, oh, it's just incredible.
Can you imagine how many people worked on that with them to make all those stages, choreograph all those dances, all those props? Those props are fucking amazing. Their outfits. I think I literally was, like, watching all of their outfits, and everything, every outfit, all of them wore, all of their accessories, everything was a 10 out of 10. And I was like, can you imagine their like stylists getting together and all of them discussing like what they're gonna put each person in, where they were gonna change, what makes the most sense, blah blah blah. Like, first of all, that sounds really fun.
So much fun.
Yeah, but two, like, how much work that is. And then those people have to be in contact with, like, well, here's what the choreo is going to be. How hard is it to change from one outfit into the next? How much time is there? Oh, is it like a split second change? Or like, do we have 2 minutes? Blah, blah, blah. And like thinking about all of that. And then like, again, thinking back to like the pandemic logistics of like all of those people who are involved in every step of the process have to be approved to, you know, work with them. And I'm sure everybody was still wearing masks backstage, trying to minimize any virus spreading. But it's just like, it's just so many details that like it boggles my mind. And I'm so impressed by that.
Yep, I know. It's insane. And like the fact that this is all, they've managed to do this and create this masterpiece during a global pandemic, all online, all from nothing. And this is, again, what makes them contemporary artists, because they're able to do all this shit. Anyway, let's move on, because we're going to talk for ages. Okay, so next was Filter. I was so excited to see this because I knew it was going to have a killer choreography.
I had zero expectations.
Oh my god, I did. And from the second he came out in the outfit he was wearing, and like the first couple of moves he did that were very like Latino, I was like, oh my god, I'm not ready. I just knew it was going to be good. Like, because I knew the dance and the choreo was going to be something really special, because it's the kind of song that like, it just, as soon as you hear it, you envision like a really good choreo. Yeah. And I just was so excited for it. And it was so good. He delivered. He always delivers. Jimin is just such an incredible dancer, performer, like, and because it was like Filter and the way he was like playing around with the different costumes.
Oh, I love that. He looked like, in the first outfit, he looked like Jim Carrey from The Mask.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of my favorite movies, and I was like, yes. Did you notice that both of the mannequins that he was taking clothes off of were female?
I was just about to say that, because that was something I did notice and I picked up on and I loved, because it wasn't like, I was wondering like, oh, is he going to dance with this mannequin? Like with Tay in Singularity, is it going to be kind of like that kind of vibe? But no, like he was taking the clothes from the mannequin and wearing them. And it was so cool, because it was basically like saying, I don't care about stupid gender norms. I can wear female clothes and it's cool. And I
still look good in them, and I look sexy. And aren't you seduced by me?
Right? It was so cool. And I felt that as well when I was watching. I was like, that's so interesting to me that he's picking clothes off of a female mannequin.
Although, did you see that like the second mannequin had like the garters? And that's the one that he like was like flirting with. And I'm like, oh, of course, you picked the one with the garters.
Also, how did he change his clothes? Because Yoongi's one I kind of could see happening. How did Jimin change? I thought something was wrong with my eyes. I was like, did I miss something? Because like his entire outfit changed color.
Yeah, I was sitting watching with my husband, and like he changed it, and like 3 seconds passed by, and then we returned to each other. We're like, did he change clothes? Like both of us were like, did we just miss it? Yeah, I don't know how he did that. He was a fucking magician. It was so cool. And I think that's another one of those things that you can only do when it's a completely virtual concert.
Maybe, but like, I know that there are certain ways that you can change clothes. If you have a certain outfit, you like behind
you can
you can like
unsnap it and all that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what he did.
I'm thinking, because like, how would they virtually change his outfit?
Well, the other thing I was thinking is like maybe it's 2 performances spliced together.
But it is live, like it's done in real time.
Well, it's being streamed live. There's a chance that part of it was just not live, but I don't think that they would do that.
I don't think so. And that's the thing, because that would call into question the authenticity of like what was happening.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think they would do that just from a like.
Yeah, I don't, it ruins the magic of it.
Yeah, exactly.
So when I rewatch that concert tonight, I'm going to pay really close attention, and I'm going to be like, are you wearing an outfit that can change?
Yeah. Because it must
maybe, but also it could be a lighting thing.
Potentially.
But it went from like white to red. I don't know,
White to,
man.
and like, yeah, I have no idea. Also, can we talk about how good he looked in that red outfit?
Because
Because he looked good anyway. But then when he changed to the red outfit and he did those moves, I was like, Jimin, chill. Like, we know, okay? We know. Why does he do this?
Because he can, and
because he can, and because he enjoys it.
We like it. I'm a masochist. I enjoy the pain. Oh my god, it was so amazing. I loved it. And it ended, and we were still like, but how did he get into his red suit? I need to know this.
Same. And that hat was cool too. But yeah, the choreo was so sexy and cool, and I loved it. And yeah, I really liked the idea of all the TVs as well. Like the different
filters on the TV.
Images, that you can portray through a screen. Like, it was very cleverly done. And I still don't think this is a like sad song. Like, I don't think it's him trying to say, oh, I can never be myself, and like me being a celebrity means that my life sucks because I can't be myself. I think it's more a commentary on like the difficulties that it brings, and as well as the positives, because it's also fun being able to put on different filters and like show different sides. So I just really liked the commentary of that with all the TV screens, and like I thought it was very clever.
Yeah, I agree. Well, we could have a deeper discussion about Filter another time. I know it's a song that gets hotly debated in the fandom. But yeah. But after that, we had Inner Child.
No. We had Moon first.
Right, we had Moon, which was adorable, and just, I dissolved. The funny thing was that my husband has never read or seen Little Prince. So, so when the backup dancers came out with the fox house, he was just like, what the fuck?
That would look so random to somebody that doesn't know about the Little Prince. It's just like, why is there foxes on the moon?
Yeah, and he was like, why does the moon have like one giant flower? And it looks like Jin's flower from Boy with Love. And so you can tell me if your interpretation is different, but my interpretation of the foxes, and based on his song and like the lyrics, it's Jin saying, like, because like in the story, the fox says that like if you tame someone, if you like emotionally make someone dependent on you, if you, or in some way you make someone dependent on you, then you're responsible for them. So you have to be careful about who you tame. And in the context of that song and those backup dancers being all the foxes, I interpreted it as Jin saying, like, you have tamed me, I'm dependent on you, but I've also tamed you, and you are dependent on me. So, like, I understand that we need to be careful with each other.
Yeah, I definitely think that's part of it. I think I see it more of, like, the frailty and the beauty of human connection in that way. Like, I find the Little Prince to be very emotionally just honest
Yeah.
and raw, and it's very much like being this connected with another person isn't perfection, but it's so beautiful. It's so amazing. And I think that was more my interpretation of it, is just this way that we feel about each other is so special.
Yeah.
And I just loved it. And I loved when the earth came down at the end and he couldn't reach it, but he was trying to kiss it. And
I was just like squealing in a high pitched voice, like, you're almost there. It's a little bit more.
like, that's me. But it's just Jin. Just, I've said this so many times. He's just feels so safe to me. I can put my heart in his hands, and like, he's so safe. He's so just like that feeling of just comfort, of home, of.
Well,
like,
that's what I mean.
And
like, he tamed you, and he understands that, and he's responsible for you, and he's like, I know you. Responsible is the wrong word to say. I'm like, I don't have the vocabulary to explain this because I read that book in French when it was called Petit Prince, and so I don't know what the English translation of a bunch of the lines are. But I do think the concept of taming each other is really true. ARMY is so emotionally connected to BTS, and BTS is so connected to ARMY, and it's a connection that is so special and fragile and beautiful and painful and amazing. And I loved that was the set design, and it makes so much sense with his song being called Moon. And the lyrics, and I'm like, was this the plan the whole time? Because it's so good.
Yeah, that story to me has just always, like, it makes me cry so much, but in like such a pure way. The things that always get me the most emotional are the things that are like, it's hard, it's painful, and it's not like perfection, it's raw. This is human. This is what it means to be human. This is what it means to care about people. And that story always reminds me of that. And I think with Jin, just because I think he feels the same way too. And I guess you're right in a sense, but I guess I see it just from a different angle of like, have you ever known a dog to be more fucking dramatic? Like, oh, you won't play with me, so I'm going to go and cry. But yeah, I can never describe why Moon means so much to me, why I love it so much, why when I listen to it, I sob. Like, it's the song that makes me the most emotional, obviously behind like...
I have an idea. Is it because he presents the truths in that song without a veneer? He's just like, here's how I feel. It's raw, it's unadulterated, it's fragile, and it leaves him open for someone else to like it leaves him vulnerable.
I tell you what I think it is. And I think it's the same with The Little Prince. It's the purest form of love to me. Like, from my perspective, that is the purest form of love. Like, I don't know how to describe it, because it's not like giving up anything for somebody else or like changing anything for somebody else. It's more just like, I'm letting myself be vulnerable. I'm like releasing all of my walls and barriers and like everything, because I want to share this connection with you. It's so vulnerable, it's so raw, it's so like honest and open, and it feels like a look into the soul, into the heart. It's so pure. And the story reminds me of that too, and this song always makes me think that, and I just think it's so brave, it's so human. It makes you feel happy to be alive and to care about people. Like, I love it so much.
Yeah. What comes after that?
Then we have Inner Child, to which I sobbed.
Same. That little kid on the carousel who was supposed to be Tae as a baby, as a young boy. And the kid himself, I was also thinking, imagine that kid. He's so young. And Tay is singing to him.
Did you see his eyes start to well up when Tay was singing to him? I swear to God, when that moment when he like did the bridge and he was like right next to the boy and singing directly to him, it showed a picture of like it showed an image of the boy's face and his eyes were welling up.
Yeah, I was like,
yeah.
It just, can you imagine?
It was a lot.
Yeah, can you imagine though, like having that kind of experience in your childhood and growing up with someone having told you that, because Tay doesn't hold back. Like, when he
was going out of his way to try and make him feel comfortable, and it was so precious.
I also just like, I kept laughing at the boy. The boy was like holding his hand out, and then he'd get tired. He'd like put it away. He's like, oh yeah, and then he'd put it back out.
And he like plastered a smile to his face that wasn't a real smile. He was like,
he was doing his best.
Cute. Oh, it was so cute.
It was such a cute performance, and I loved seeing it through Tay's eyes, because giving him the chance also to sing to someone directly made it that much better for him as a performer, for him to be engaged in his own singing, and then to see him sing those words to a visualization of himself as a child. I hope it was as cathartic for him as it was to see for us, for
it
me.
Was just so beautiful. It was so like touching and heartwarming. And I think the one thing that I just loved so much about it was I really saw in this performance his vision for this song, what he wanted it to be. He wanted it to be something that he shared with other people, that like he did for himself, but that he also shared. Like, and he kind of explained that he wanted a song that was like an anthem where he could enjoy it with ARMYs, where it could feel like larger than life. And even though like the ARMYs were completely out of time and it sounded awful, it was so cute.
And they were like, so they're not using Keysway, they were using a different platform for their, and they were told that it would be like a delay of a couple of seconds. So I just wish they could have fixed that, and maybe when this is all eventually released as something we can buy, they'll probably fix it on
but
there.
You know what, I really enjoyed it because it was like
raw.
Yeah, it just kept reminding me that like, even though this feels like a concert, even though this feels like we're there, like it really does, it's actually not. Like, we're not, but we're doing this anyway. Like, even in the midst of all of this stress,
we're doing our fucking best.
And we're singing together. And that just kept making me feel really emotional as well, because it was like, it doesn't have to be perfect, like, but we're doing it. And it was so special that you got that like hit back to reality of the ARMYs all being like slightly out of time. And it was just so cute. And I sobbed.
Yeah, I was sobbing, and then at the end when it was all out of sync, I was laughing and crying, and I was like...
yeah.
Yeah, I was like, this is great.
Oh, what was the one that I laughed and cried at? There was one song that I was like both hysterically laughing whilst sobbing. I can't remember where it was now though, but let's just keep going.
Yeah, what came after that?
Then it was Ego. Oh my God.
Oh, that was so cute. That was so him. I
loved the dance.
I loved also all the backup singers, everybody in cars and ATVs. I'm like, it's so cute.
Just when he was doing the dance, because like we all know Hobie is an incredible dancer, but it was so simple. It was just fun. It was just, I want to have fun. I want to be goofy and do silly moves. And I loved it so much. And I could imagine what it would be like in person, how much fun it would be. And like, it was even fun from home. It was just such a lovely, like, mood boost. And I loved it.
Very
I loved what he was
needed.
wearing. Yes.
Yeah, especially after like all of those gut punches of all of those emotional songs. I was like, please help me. And then he's like, that's my ego. I'm like, okay, thank you. Thank you, I needed
and
this.
Again, like, this plays into the narrative with the album and with the concert of, like, you get to that point where you let out all your emotion and you're just like, oh, and then Hobie's like, come on, let's dance. It's okay.
Get back up.
Yeah, come on, little one. Up you get. And
we're not done.
Yeah. Oh, I loved his outfit so much. He looked so good in that outfit.
His outfit.
It was like denim.
I'm drawing a blank. I think I was emotionally overwhelmed at that point.
Yeah. Understandable. And then the bit at the end when he was like, "Come on, fellas," and it was all the other BTS members and they were all just dancing together.
Yeah, that was so cute. The way the members all like would appear in each other's songs or at the end of it in this concert was so nice. Like I liked that they've like evolved over time how they all come back together as a group.
Yeah, it was really nice, and it was done really seamlessly as well.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, then we had the Boy With Love performance that we'd seen before.
Oh, and then I returned to sobbing. That performance, I don't know what it is. I think it's because it's such a beautiful revamp. You have the dance remix, and you it's all the umbrellas that we know they've been practicing at least since February because of that selfie with umbrellas in the background where ARMYs were like, umbrellas? Umbrellas? Oh, we know what this is about.
I just feel like, doesn't this version of it seem even more like a love letter to ARMY?
Yes.
Like, it already felt like a love letter to ARMY, and it was really, like, nice and comforting and, like, happy. But this version of it somehow gives it that, like, emotional gut punch of, like, this is for you.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but yeah.
I think part of it is because they remixed the song that they didn't need to remix. They redid a dance and choreo that they didn't need to change, but they did it. And their umbrellas are incredible. Like,
oh my god, they're so cool. One of them didn't open, I remember somebody saying at the end.
Well, Hobie was just like, sorry, it didn't open. Technical difficulties. Oh well, we have tomorrow. And I'm like, really? I didn't even notice. I was so into it. I was like, there's too much going on.
Yeah.
I love it. And then the background was the ARMY bombs again of the like.
And I tell you what, I think the reason it made me emotional this time around was they were looking at the cameras, aka ARMYs, so softly. Like, the softest ever. Like, when I rewatch it, because I remember thinking that, I was like, oh my god, the way they're looking at me is so soft. And I was like, it was just really cute. Yeah.
I love it. I want that version. I want every version. I know this is a trend. I wish BTS participated in it, of like K-pop artists recording themselves in concert and then releasing that as an album, because I would so.
Yeah, the live albums, that would be so cool. Okay, so then we had the like last few songs. Let's just group them together. Actually no, I don't think we can group them together, to be fair.
Okay, well, what came next?
So then we had DNA, which was fucking amazing.
I am so glad they included that. That is my first BTS song. It will forever be like my special BTS song, and I'm so glad they brought it back. I sang the fan chant with my husband for all of it. Like, I can't. I love that song so much, and them including it now feels even more special.
Yeah,
because
it felt like it also felt like it was a dedication to ARMY, because before they played it, they were like, "Oh, didn't they say something about how like we wanted?"
Namjoon said like, or Yoongi, I can't remember who, but they were like, "Thank you for being with us. We've gone through so much together, like over the years." And then it was DNA, and then it was Dope,
yeah,
which was so cool in that elevator.
Oh my God, I know. Can I just, before we move on, DNA, the guitar remix that they did, and all the like lights and like how they made it look like the music video, and then like it kept like building and building, and then there was this like flash of light, and then the guitars came in, and it was so fucking awesome. Their
like virtual stage blew my mind. Blew my fucking mind. I was like, this is only something you can do in an online concert. And that was where I was like, you are now setting the bar for online concerts way higher than it was.
Right?
If this was where they had set it with Bing Bang Con, and like the floor was where it had been before, like that was already a high enough standard. Everybody was like around this mark in the industry. Then with their like whole dome concert and all their stages, they had set it here. And then with the virtual reality, it was like here. I was like, this is incredible. Like I can't believe what I'm seeing. And they recreated the DNA music video, stages, and then the way they just transitioned it into Dope, and that they were in the elevator and going up you know, like
Oh, it was so
rising
cool.
over the years. And so the metaphor that I got was that like they've risen over the years and they started in a desert and then they went through hell, and that's why you had that fire.
And that's why they ended in the snowstorm, because they keep talking about how it's winter right now.
Yeah, and also I was like, and it was also like the top of a mountain, and so I was like, it's cold when you're at the top, like it's hard to breathe and it's scary and it's not as, you know, the nice thing they've always thought. And then they went somewhere else. I can't remember. Didn't they go somewhere else higher?
I can't remember now.
And then they go back down because they're like, at the end of the day, our number one, who was with us from the beginning, is ARMY. So we will come back down because we don't need to keep climbing when it just becomes more hellish every step up we go. And I was so emotional during all of it. And oh the crap, there was something else I was gonna say. Oh, well, I also just like how the song Dope is like, while everybody else was fucking around, we were working. Here's a like chronological display of everything we've gone through. We've been working. What the fuck have you all... Agreed. What the fuck have you been doing? Yeah, by the way, here's the other thing I was going to say. So they're in the elevator and the first stop is in the desert, right? I immediately thought of our game the other week.
Oh my god, that's what I was gonna say. Because I watched it and that was my first thought. Because I was like, Lion, be quiet, I'm talking. I was watching it and then they all of a sudden got into an elevator and I was like, oh my god, hey, this is like the story we wrote. And then they ended up in a desert and I was like, what? Oh my god. Like,
we're just telepathically connected to them. It's cool.
If you don't know, last episode, I think, I think it was last episode, we were writing stories based on prompts. And one of the stories we wrote was about Tay getting into an elevator and then like coming out and being in a desert. And what the fuck?
Like, of all things. I'm glad you remember that too, because I didn't understand the metaphor at first, and the desert is the first stop where they go, and I was just like, huh? Am I hallucinating?
Yeah, I mean, I need to watch that again to see what they were trying to portray, because I didn't get the message at all. I literally was just like, wow, cool, they're flying, shapes, colors, wow.
I felt that when they were going down, I was like, I couldn't even focus on them dancing. I was too busy looking at everything else. I was like, woo.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, that was really cool. And then we had No More Dream, to which they did the iconic dance break again. And
yes!
I want close-ups of every one of them because I couldn't see enough on the screen I was watching.
I know. I think that was the point where you were supposed to be flipping through the other cams, but I can't keep up. Maybe I'll do that on my second rewatch.
You can't. Oh, yeah, because you're watching it live again, aren't you?
Yeah, tonight. It'll be 10 p.m. my time.
Yeah, because I'll
be 3
rewatch
a.m.
it.
yours.
Yeah.
You can rewatch it tomorrow.
Yeah. But, yeah, it was just, I only changed my screen like 4 or 5 times. And when I changed my screen, I didn't actually change it. I would just click on the multi-view.
Minimize,
so I had like,
yeah.
I had all of them open.
If there was any ARMY who understood how to do that easily, props to you. I can't do that. I connected it to the TV and we were just watching it. We were like passively. And I know there's plenty of ARMYs who like to chat and all that stuff. I can't keep up with that. I'm like, in the Stone Age where that shit is concerned, I can't participate in it. I'm like, my eyes are focused on the screen. That's it.
Yeah, like my attention is just all for BTS when I'm watching, so I have no time for anything else. Yeah. It's just like, okay, give me BTS. I don't want that 2-second pause when I have to change the screen because I want that is
You'll
2
miss
seconds
something.
that I could be watching BTS.
Yeah.
Yup.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that they finished like the concert before the encore with No More Dream.
And
they did that.
So cool. And then the like the way the lights would appear around them, and how they had this like,
and the remix again.
Yeah, it was like this beautiful arrangement. I kept shouting it the whole time of the concert. I'm like, I love this arrangement. I love that one. I want this one. Like it's just so good, and it's such a look back at where they had come from. Because to me, again, this is my just interpretation, but I was watching those like yellow sharp things coming at them and then exploding. And that to me seemed to be a symbolism of the criticism they got for their debut. And it was just everyone was equally negative about them. They didn't get a break from anyone. And so they're performing No More Dream, and periodically like you see all the sharp things around them suddenly explode, and it's just the music. And those are the moments where they were like, yeah, you know what, fuck you, this is who I am and this is what I believe. And I loved that like return to the beginning, because it was everything coming full circle, and it was in line with like the whole point of the Soul. And I was like, A fucking plus, well fucking done.
Yeah, and I just loved how like the concert itself, like the encore is like a separate thing, but the concert itself, it starts with On and it ends with No More Dream. And it's like, this is our most recent like title that we've put out, and then we're going through all of these motions, and then we're coming back and we're like showing you our debut again. And it's like, it's just such a clever way of doing it. I loved it so much, and I'm convinced that Big Hit is definitely stalking ARMY social media accounts, because they like, everyone knows that ARMY die about that dance break and have been wanting it again.
And we always bitch and complain and tag the Big Hit accounts like, where's my remake? I want another dance break.
Yeah, but okay, so then we had the encore. Also, it was so cute that like there was the ARMYs chanting BTS, BTS like they normally do at the concerts. And then when they came back out and they chose to play Butterfly.
Oh, I knew you were dying somewhere.
This was when I was hysterically laughing and crying. It was Butterfly, because if you don't know me, Butterfly is like probably my second favorite BTS song of all time, and it's only slightly behind my first. So like it's probably like my favorite BTS song.
What's your first, Moon?
Magic Shot. But like Butterfly means so much to me. I love that song so much. It's like one of the most incredible songs ever made, ever. I adore it. And it's like the fact that they chose to do that, and that's when all the screens came on.
Yeah.
And they were like singing and interacting and like looking at all the ARMYs. I literally started hysterically laughing and crying, because I was like, you have done this to hurt me and I'm okay with it.
I was imagining that was like when I saw the, I also like that they had like the name of the song.
Yeah, it was cool, but I also didn't like it because
sometimes
I like to be surprised.
Yeah, but just when the title came up, I was like, oh, Billy's about to lose her shit somewhere.
Yeah, basically, yes.
You know what?
But I started doing it so that like when I saw it come up, I would like avoid it on the screen.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
So that I didn't know which one it was. But yeah, when it came up, because they haven't done it in so long, and then they chose to do it, and I didn't expect it. And it was the exact same feeling I had when they did Spring Day that time, and like the first note came on. And I knew what it was, and I just immediately burst into tears, like sobbing tears. And then I was laughing because I was so happy, because they could see ARMYs, and it was so adorable.
And
I was
they
like,
catch you off guard, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
I will say that hearing them sing this song while staring at ARMYs puts the song in a new context for me, and I see it from a different perspective. It makes me see the song as them feeling like our love is that fragile and like we'll float away and we'll disappear.
Well, in this time, like them choosing to sing this in this time, I think you're right, because I think they have experienced now what it is like without ARMY, like how it feels to go about, and I guess it's without their love of performing almost, because like the reason they've said so many times, the reason they are musical artists is because of how much they love sharing their art with people. Like they love performing and they love meeting ARMYs and they love that. And they now know what it's like not to have that. They know how it feels. And so them choosing to sing Butterfly is like, we've now seen how much you guys shape our happiness, how fragile it is. Not like our happiness, but like our joy in this work, that you are the reason we do it, and being able to perform is the reason we do it. And like, because Butterfly, the reason I love it so much is because it's like, it's so honest and vulnerable, and it's like, something like this is so special that I'm both so happy to have it, but so terrified of losing it. It's just such extremes of emotions, and it just shows such a pure form of love, of like this thing that's like a butterfly. Like, it's so beautiful, and I'm terrified, but I can't just like ignore it. I'm embracing it. And
also, if it's a butterfly, like, you can't squeeze and hold on to it too tightly, or you'll destroy it that way as well.
It's so fragile. It's just such a like
ephemeral thing.
Yes, exactly. That's the exact word. And now, like, the fact that they choose to sing it, like, they must be thinking of it as this kind of, we now know, like, we know how special ARMY is to us, how special performing is to us. Like, obviously they knew it before, but there's a different feeling that you get when you're without it.
Well, like, would they talk about it in all of their docuseries, like in Break the Silence? They're like, one day I will have to put this down and move on with my life, so I'm just preparing for that. And obviously this was thrust on them, and they weren't prepared for it. But now they know life isn't what they maybe thought it would be without ARMY. And I feel like maybe this kind of showed them that they're not ready to give up the fight. They're not ready to...
I think so. Because I think that, like...
move on.
When you're in the midst of doing something that you love, you can start to not take it for granted, but
burn
like
out.
think of it.
I think you start to burn out, where you're like, this is great, but I'm oversaturated.
Yeah, and it's like everything, like, you feel like this is amazing and I love it so much, but like, I could deal with it. Like, I could move on, and maybe it would be better for me if I did. Maybe I would feel happier. Maybe I wouldn't be so tired. Maybe like I'm ready to like do something else. And because when you're in the middle of having something, you don't really, you can't really comprehend what it would be like to lose it. You can wonder, you can think, you can try to prepare, but you don't really know. Whereas like this has given them like a complete, like, this is what it would be like if we're forced to do something.
Granted, it's not like, it's not exactly the same as what it would be if they were like, okay, we're done, moving on, and they would have a set plan for what they do next. In this case, their life as it was pre-COVID was taken away, and kind of a void was left where they didn't know how to fill it. But I think that made it even clearer to them what the contrast is, what the difference is between life with this career, with ARMY, with this kind of connection, with this kind of artistic freedom and capability, and without it. And I think it's just, I think it's eye-opening. I would really like to hear them tell us their thoughts after they discuss the concerts this weekend.
Me too. And I mean, we're skipping ahead a little, but like Jimin at the end of the concert, when he got really emotional, I mean, yes, we
how many of
alongside him.
Yeah, how many of us cried too? All of us.
Yeah. But he said that the reason he got so emotional was because during Run, which is the next one, everyone was having so much fun. And he looked around at the others and they were all having so much fun with ARMY, and ARMY was having fun, and it just made him really emotional. And like, he was really emotional. Like, and I think that I have a theory that, again, just my speculation, that they've been feeling very lost. They don't really know what they're doing, why they're doing this. Similar to how they were in 2018 when they were like, what is the reason I love music? Why am I performing? Like, and they kind of concluded about like certain reasons or whatever. But it seems like they've been having a hard time figuring out who they are, figuring out why they love doing this so much, because a lot of the reasons they love doing it is gone. Like they're doing promotions, they're filming things, they're working a lot. And like Jung even said in his ending meant like until today, we'd lost sight of who we were. Like or maybe just him, but and then I think for Jimin, it was like, and probably all of them, they had kind of been existing on autopilot of like, I'm just doing this. I'm just going about my day. I'm doing the promotions. I'm doing the photo shoots, the recordings, but I don't really feel that happy, and I'm not really enjoying it in the way that I thought I'd do. Like my creative work and the job that I thought I loved, I'm not really loving. I'm just kind of doing. And then with this, it was like, I think Jimin looking around and seeing how happy they were for the first time, maybe in a while, to be performing, to be interacting with people, because it's been so long now since they've been able to do anything like this. That like that realization of like, oh yeah, that's why. I agree. I think that's why he got so emotional.
Yeah, because it's what we talked about before, you and I, that it was him going, this is the right path. This is where my happiness, this is what I want to do, this here. And what is the difference between what they've been doing before and this concert? It's the human connection.
Yes.
I truly think that we as people in this day and age, we want to connect with each other. We want to feel a sense of unity. We want to feel like we belong, you know, in what we're doing and in who we engage with. And so like for that, like that's what love is, right?
And we want
love
to share our art. Like we can make our art and it's enjoyable to a certain extent, but like when you can share your art and people can be engaged with it and people can be moved by it, like,
because what is art? Art is an idea. Art is something that is hard to explain in simple words. So you find a creative way to express it, and then somebody else goes, yeah, I agree, I relate to that, I like that, I understand what you're trying to get at, and through that you feel connected over this complicated idea to someone else.
Yeah, and you can enjoy that time with people. And I don't know, it made me so happy to see that and for them to be able to have that, because we've discussed like privately about how we've not been worried about them, but like we've both been thinking they're probably having a very hard time and struggling a lot. And I think that they needed this kind of reminder in real time of the fact that they're doing okay. And like Namjoon said again in his endment, like, we're strong. We have always got through it. Like, we always have found a way, and we've always created a new way, and we're strong. We will keep going. We will keep pushing through. That made me feel so happy to hear him say that.
To hear him acknowledge that. Because it's one thing for us to say it to each other in the fandom. It's another for our 7 favorite men to say, yeah, we agree with you. We got this.
And it, like, obviously, like, it's not our right to, like, worry about them or like, need reassurance from them that they're okay, blah, blah, blah. But, like, when you care about somebody so much.
You can't help it.
Seeing them have that kind of, I'm gonna be okay. And like, you know it's real. Like, you know they feel that now. Like, this is gonna be okay. Like, this has been awful and we've been struggling so much with it. But like, there's a reason we're doing this, and we're strong and we can get through it again. It was so nice to hear that.
It was. Run was so great. It was so chaotic. And them dancing.
It was just so fun.
Surrounded by all those armies. I'm really grateful for those 500 armies that got to participate in that. Not one person that I ever saw on a screen was anything but supportive, enthusiastic, going crazy, like eyes glued to the screen. And I'm like, thank you for representing us well, for giving them joy.
And it was just such a cool thing, because like, it's that reminder again of like, we can't be together. We're separated. We cannot see people, but you can sit in your room on that screen, jump around and dance and smile and sing. And we can be in this room and look at you all and do the same thing. Like, and we can share this moment. Like, even though like we are so separate right now, we don't get to be together, but like, look at us. It was just so touching. And they did look like they were having so much fun, and I was having so much fun. I wasn't even on the screen, but I was at home dancing and like jumping around, and
well, because even if it's not our place to be like, oh, you need to reassure us that you're happy, it is reassuring to see when they are happy. I'm sorry, but it is. I care about their well-being, whether they want me to or not. So when I
wasn't
see
it just so nice? Because like I don't think they've, well, maybe they have, but like they haven't shown that they've been absolutely miserable or whatever. It's not anything like that. It's just
they're holding it in.
Yeah. Like, and you can feel it, and you can feel it in their interviews. You can feel it in their performances. Like they're doing it, but they're kind of just going through the motions. This is my job. This is what I'm doing. I need to focus on something because I can't do what I want to do. And you kind of feel it, like, because this is the thing about BTS, is that the reason why so many of us connect to them so much is because their emotions come through to you and you feel them alongside them. And so like, I just haven't seen them have that much fun and be that free in so long. And it was so nice.
Yeah. And you know what was the best? We've seen them do promotion after promotion for Dynamite where they all performed it in all these beautiful ways. And we'll talk more about that later. But this performance of Dynamite was the sloppiest one I've ever seen from them. And I could not stop laughing. And I think
loved it.
It was my favorite one.
Same.
Because us and them were in the same boat. We've heard this song 8 million times now. They've performed it for us over and over and over again. And this one, they tired themselves out by running and run. And I just loved how at the end, Tay didn't even do the kick. He just sat down.
I know, he just sat down.
He was like, I'm tired.
But it was so nice because it was just like, they're just human beings. They're just having fun with it. Like, oh, I loved it so much.
And in the context of how we're all so oversaturated in the song, this casual performance of them just like a bunch of guys dancing around for their friends, like it didn't seem, it felt very intimate, and I was just like, like it was the first time in a while when it felt like it wasn't BTS in front of a promotion screen doing what they were doing for them, and then we would watch on the other side. It was like, we are together in this moment. Like, there's no barriers, there's no like etiquette between us or like anything. It was just like, just be stupid. They were
and
like, here's our fucking song. It's a great song. I'm tired. And we're like,
Oh, I loved it. And then we had their ending mints. All of their ending mints were just...
I really enjoyed that their ending mints were very honest.
Yes.
It felt like the first time they'd been that honest with us in a long time.
Yeah. Because like we know them and we know that they don't want to have to like, they don't want to make things worse. They don't want to come across as being like, if they're having a struggle with staying positive, they can't be like, they don't want to add to our own.
So I have found that the only time they tell us something negative is when they've already come up with a solution for it. So in this case, they had a concert and this concert clearly made them feel better. So then they finally felt comfortable saying, I have felt like shit, but I'm so glad we had this concert because I finally feel better. Yes.
And I don't know, it just felt so great. It just solidified all of the reasons why I just love them so much and why they're so incredible and such wonderful people. And I loved their ending mints. I thought they were really sweet, and I loved how even though Jimin was like really emotional, did you see at the end when he was like laughing and like at himself crying?
And then when they were walking away, he and Namjoon were talking and like laughing about it. I'm really glad that they let him cry and they didn't like pan away and say, okay, next person, while Jimin like composes himself, because he's not alone in that feeling, and I think it was cathartic for all of us to cry with him.
And you know, I think like I saw a few people say on Twitter that they thought like his crying was like pain. I think it was more relief. Yeah. Like I finally can let go of all of this pain because I see everyone happy and I feel happy and I forgot what it felt like to feel this happy and I'm going to cry about it and then I'm going to laugh at myself. Like that's how it felt to me.
Same. Really? People saw just pain? Oh, that's a little one-dimensional.
Yeah, I mean, I saw quite a lot of
There's more
tweets.
than one reason you can cry, people.
Yeah. But yeah, and then we had We Are Bulletproof the Eternal, and honestly, I couldn't participate in this as much as I probably would have during the concert, because at this point, I was just an emotional wreck, and then...
Yeah, no, same. Completely same. I was just like, sat there like almost numb and I'm like, I really like, which was actually nice because I finally got to enjoy the song and the vocals. I was like, I'm too emotionally numb and full to be upset by this song.
I can't cry anymore.
Yeah, I'm like, this is such a nice song. Their vocals are so good. Oh, those high notes. I was focused on the like technicality of it for once in my entire fucking life.
Yeah. I had it on multi-view at this time, so it had like the screens of the armies kind of like in a virtual reality type thing, and then they were in the background, but then I also had like all the other screens, so I was like, I'm confused and I don't know what to look at, but yeah, I was kind of sitting there like, yeah, so if your song should be making me sob, but I'm so drained of any feeling that I'm just like, pretty. Yeah. Same. Also, maybe I should have clicked around because we were just on the main camera, and so for like 80% of the time, the main camera was just the like ARMY virtual reality stuff, and I was like, "Where's BTS? I would like to see BTS." Like, sorry, ARMYs, sorry, ARMY. I want to see BTS. Yeah, no, I had it on multi-view for that exact reason. I think at that point I forgot about multi-view. I was just like, yeah. But yeah, do you know what? Maybe that's actually why they were okay with doing like We Are Bulletproof the Eternal last, because you know how we said, oh, everyone's going to be an absolute wreck. Yeah, like you can't end the concert with this. Yeah, it's emotional. Because everyone's just going to sob. Yeah. But actually, they already made us sob so much that it was okay to put it at the end. Yeah. Because we were all sobbed out. Yeah, we were just like... Agreed. I was just by that point, I was like, this is a really pretty song. Yeah. And that concludes the concert. And like our text messages afterwards, you just text me saying something like, I am emotionally destroyed. And I replied saying, I've never been such a mess. And then we both just, I don't know about you, I had to get in the shower. I got in the shower, I stared at the walls. I didn't even put any music on. Then I went to make a coffee. I stared at the ceiling and I was just like, how do I function now? I didn't even get up from the couch. I just stayed sitting there. I was like, I can't. Yep. Can't wait to do it all again. Tomorrow. Oh yeah, that was the thing I wanted to end on, because they've said like it's gonna be similar but like it's different, so there is differences tomorrow. Yeah, so I don't know what they're gonna do. Oh dear God, I have to wake up at 2 a.m. It's at 3 a.m. for me. Watch me wake up 7 minutes until it's at 8 a.m. for me, which is a bit earlier than I normally get up, so I'll be getting up early, but still not too bad. Yeah, well, I had to do it during all of the American promotions, so... Fair. Anyway. Yeah. So by the time we post this video, it will have been the full weekend. Yes. So, everybody, please give us, like, your take on how the second day did compared to the first, because we're not going to have any, like, footage of that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's take a break now, because, before we... do go on, it's just going to be us discussing this week, not playing a game or anything, just because there's so much and we've just talked about the concept for so long, but I think that you guys will probably want to hear this the most. So I hope you've enjoyed our Map of the Soul 1 concert special. When we come back, we will resume our regularly scheduled recap programming. Yes.
너네 하나뿐인 태야 세상에 딱 하나 널 향해 피었지만 난 자꾸 목말라 넌 늦었어 너 없이 살 수 돈 없어 가지고 말아도 더 힘껏 손을 뻗어 뻗어봐서 검색해버릴 꿈 미칠 듯 하려도 도저히 잘일 뿐 그냥 날 태워줘 그래도 밀쳐내줘 이건 사랑에 미친 멍청이의 뒷박질 더 뛰게 해줘 나를 더 뛰게 해줘 두 발의 상처만 가득해도 네 얼굴만 보면은 눈나니까 다시 run 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 난 멈출 수가 없어 run 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 난 어쩔 수가 없어 어차피 이것밖에는 못해 너를 사랑하는 것밖에 못해 다시 run 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 넘어져도 괜찮아 run 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 좀 다쳐도 괜찮아 가질 수 없다 해도 난 좋게 바보 같은 운명아 나를 욕해 Don't tell me why You make me cry Love is a lie Don't tell me why 난 거라는데요 난 멈출 수가 없네요 땀인지 눈물인지 나도는 분간 못해 내 발가벗은 사랑도 거친 태풍 바람도 나를 더 뛰게만 해요 내 심장과 함께 더 뛰게 해줘 나를 더 뛰게 해줘 두 발의 상처만 가득해도 네 얼굴만 보면 눈나니까 다시 run 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 난 멈출 수가 없어 run 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 난 어쩔 수가 없어 어차피 이것밖에는 못해 너를 사랑하는 것밖에 못해 다시 run 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 넘어져도 괜찮아 run 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 좀 다쳐도 괜찮아 가질 수 없다 해도 난 좋게 바보 같은 운명아 나를 욕해 추억들이 마른 꽃잎처럼 산산이 부서져가 내 손끝에서 내 발밑에서 달려가는 내 등 뒤로 마치 나비를 쫓듯 꿈속을 헤매듯 너의 흔적을 따라가 길을 알려줘 날 좀 멈춰줘 날 숨쉬게 해줘 다시 run 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 난 멈출 수가 없어 run 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 난 어쩔 수가 없어 어차피 이것밖에는 못해 너를 사랑하는 것밖에 못해 다시 run 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 넘어져도 괜찮아 run 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 좀 다쳐도 괜찮아 가질 수 없다 해도 난 좋게 바보 같은 운명아 나를 욕해 Don't tell me bye bye You make me cry Love is a lie Don't tell me bye bye
Welcome back!
We are back with our ARMY recap, and there has been so much going on. Like, me and Yami have been having discussions all the time of like, I think this is the only time when I like just physically cannot catch up with everything.
No,
Like, I
yeah.
haven't seen everything that they've been putting out because I just can't. There is so much.
Yeah, and this actually makes me wonder, like, some of the stuff you could tell has been filmed and done recently, but some of it I feel like was filmed during those months where they were silent.
Oh, yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah. I feel like a sponge that's just full of too much BTS. There's no more room to soak up anymore, and I have, like, a puddle around me, and I'm like, I'll get to you!
Yeah, we were talking the other day because both of us have been kind of like quite, well, not very active on social media. And we were talking about it the other day and we were like, I'm just like full to the brim on BTS. Like, I have packed my brain with everything watching them and I don't have any time to add any more on top of that. So I need to, like, all of the attention I have will be for trying to catch up with everything BTS is doing, and the rest I need for myself.
And don't you feel guilty
So guilty.
And you're like, I'm sorry, I'm not doing this on purpose, but like, I have to live my life.
Yeah, like if I don't, I'll go crazy. Like I get certain times in the day when I'm in bed and I'm just sitting down having some me time and I'm like, oh my God, like I feel so packed.
Yeah.
Like there's no space in my brain.
Yeah,
it's been
So
crazy.
I would say that overall what has been happening right now is just a unexpected huge promotional drive for the Grammys in the US. All of the promotional events that things that they've done, performances they've done in the US have all been geared towards promoting themselves and making sure that everyone who's a voting member of the Academy gets a chance to consider them for a Grammy.
There's been a lot of like things that they have done, which I've noticed has very much not been for ARMY. I don't think hardly any of this promotion that they've been doing recently has been geared towards ARMY. I think it's either been geared towards the industry, new people who do not know BTS at all, or like institutions like that they want to like get more like friendly with. And so I think it's been very different because we're not used to this kind of promotion.
No,
we're not used to
and they still do want us to watch their stuff so that we can help prove to people who are not BTS that like look at this viewership, this following that BTS has. You should set up and pay attention to BTS because ARMY follows them. But you know, so it's like they've been doing this balancing act, and what that has resulted in is a list of promotions that we're about to go through. Yeah,
I mean, we're never going to be able to cover everything. We've not been that up to date, but like I think we've got the main things. So yeah, also we're probably not going to like talk too in depth about these things because there's so much. I think just if we have anything we think might be interesting to say.
But if anybody else has anything you want to add, please feel free to talk in the live chat or add a comment. We'd love to like talk about it. Yes. So Billy, what's the first thing that we're talking about?
Okay, so the first thing, throwing it right back, was BTS on MBC Radio in Korea. So that was the radio show that they did. It was about an hour long. I didn't watch the whole thing throughout, but I watched some of it and I read some translations of it. But what I just really loved about it is, from the impression I got, this is a very prestigious and well-known radio show in Korea. And they just received so much like
positive feedback and recognition.
Yeah.
I would also add that as people who have no mentors really outside of like the people they work with at Big Hit, this was like a chance for them to interact with that, you know, radio host who has been a veteran of the industry. He's been in the industry for a very, very long time, and he treated BTS in a way that to me was very mentor-like and very grandfatherly, and you could see them blossom under his attention. Because
wasn't he the one that said that he's thinking of retiring if he doesn't get to report on them at the Grammys?
Yeah,
like he was like, I want to report on you at the Grammys, and if you don't, then I'm gonna retire.
Oh yeah, because he's like, I want to retire already, but I'm waiting for you. I'm
waiting for you to go to the to perform at the Grammys or win a Grammy.
And I think for BTS, as people who they didn't used to get that much support in Korea, and I don't think they've ever gotten this kind of like senior support.
I agree, because the thing is, like, BTS very much, they weren't accepted. They were treated like outsiders, so they created their own content, and then they didn't go to anything anymore. They didn't go to radio shows, they didn't go to variety shows. There are a couple of instances, but really not many. And so this is probably one of the first actual promotional things like this they've done in such a long time, since their early years. And now it's like them going back and being treated the way they should have been, and as people that really deserve recognition and are very highly respected. It's really nice to see that change in the dynamic.
And you could see they felt
Yes.
appreciative of it, and they felt appreciated.
Yeah.
It was just so nice to see, and I think, yeah, I don't know how much substance of what they talked about. Like, I don't know how much of it was new information for us, but listening to their conversation, listening to the way that they were treated, and listening to their responses made me feel good because I could see it making them feel good.
Yes, agreed. Okay, next. So we had Blueberry Eyes finally come out by Max and Yoongi, and the video came out. This was on 15th of September. I loved it.
It was so good.
It was so cute. Max is the most adorable person ever. Maybe behind BTS though. But like,
what a wonderful ally to have for the fandom and for BTS. Like,
I know. He's so special. He's so lovely. He's so grateful.
He also calls himself an ARMY.
I know.
So
and there was tweets from him from like 2 years ago saying that he's an ARMY. So.
Yeah. Did you see like some of the interviews he did? Like, they would ask him about the fandom, and he's just like, I know, I am an ARMY.
I'm an ARMY.
Like I know what's going on. Like, you know, like they were like, were you intimidated? And he's like, yeah, but like not in the way you think, because I'm already a member of this community.
Yeah, like I already know that they're like a bit skeptical about people because I'm in this fandom. So yeah, it was really cool. But yeah, the song was so nice. I really liked it. And I just think him and his wife are so cute. And the fact that they learnt Yoongi's verse, and he was saying that they still say it to each other.
Yeah.
And it is very special because like they must have worked really, really hard to learn that. And I bet they're really proud of the fact that they were able to like learn an entire verse in a different language and still
it's not easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And to see them lip syncing it in the music video while they like say their vows to each other is so special. Oh my god.
Plus the lyrics are so special, and Yoongi is like the most romantic person ever, and he always has been, and we don't deserve him.
Yeah, I was so emotional when it came out. I cried so much. No, and I had forgotten that it was coming out on that day, and then I got the reminder, and Twitter was freaking out, and I was just like, wait, what? In 20 minutes? I'm not ready. What's going on? And then it just was like an emotional punch in the face.
Yeah, it was just really good. I really enjoyed it, and I just really liked that.
Yeah, and the cinematography in the music video was really good.
It was so pretty, yeah. I loved the colours. Okay, next. So we had BTS performing at iHeart Radio Music Festival on the 19th. They performed Dynamite, Make It Right, Spring Day, and Boy With Love. Yeah, I liked this performance. I thought it was really, really good. They did great. I liked the sets that they had. I don't have too much to say about this one. Like, we've spoken about iHeart Radio Music Festival before,
I mean, all I will say is, just to add from a business perspective, I could tell iHeart was trying really hard to squeeze as much money and as much profit out of this as possible, because it wasn't on TV. It was on a website, and it wasn't like there was no app for it. It was just like a random streaming screen on a website. So that is the cheapest of the cheap way to do it. Really? Yeah, from a cost perspective. And then every artist who came to their stage to perform, there was really no changes in the sets. They were all performing on the same stage. Cost savings there. And then that was why BTS stood out so much in contrast to everyone else.
I didn't watch the rest of it.
Yeah.
So.
I watched part of it because I turned it on early. It was... Listen, I'm sorry if anybody liked it.
Was it bad?
It was so bad. Like,
oh god.
You could say it's my opinion if you liked it, but I just thought it was horrendous, and I was just
but
like,
you know why
I was expecting it here. Okay, BTS was gonna be here. It was gonna be here. What I saw was like down here, and I was like, what the fuck is happening to the music industry?
But you know why that makes me really, really happy? Because then people will watch iHeart's Radio Music Festival to try and analyze it, see how terrible everybody is and how incredible BTS is, and maybe then they will understand. And
yeah, but so I was just like, you know, if iHeart was trying to make money off of BTS's appearance, maybe they should have worked on keeping people's attention for the rest of the festival. The concerts were just so bad, and I was like, I don't know how you made money off of this. I don't
even know who performed, to be honest.
I don't. people who couldn't sing, people who couldn't perform. I don't know what the fuck happened. Like, I'm sorry. You could all hate on me if you disagree, but I was just like, what the fuck am I watching? Like, I feel like the industry has gone like this, and I was still, like, thinking it was here, but I don't know. Maybe day two had better
Plus, BTS
concerts.
BTS makes everything else feel much worse than it is because they are so incredible.
Yeah, BTS spins. They spin gold. You know how everybody says like every song they touch turns to gold? Every performance they do turns to gold as well. It turns to like diamond. It's just, it sparkles and outshines everything surrounding it.
But like they raise the bar so that you think, oh wow, yeah, this is why the music industry is so great. And then you see something else and you're like,
what the fuck?
What?
Yeah,
what the fuck is this?
Yeah. So anyway, you didn't miss out on much. I almost felt ashamed that BTS had to be surrounded by everybody else in that festival.
Well, they can't say it, so you can on their behalf.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. You guys were clearly the belle of the ball. Like, it's hands down. It's easy.
Moving on. So, Dynamite, we had number 2, number 1, and then number 2 again, I think.
Yeah, this is amazing.
So we already had 1, and then it was 2, 1, and yeah, I think that was it. And it also was the first artist ever to achieve number 1 on all 3 of the new charts simultaneously.
Yeah, that was amazing. That was also kind of like a fuck you. Like, huh? You made your different charts.
You made new charts.
BTS is still topping all of them. You didn't fix shit.
Yeah. Oh, it's funny. But I still can't believe how high it stayed for so long, honestly. It just makes me think that there's a lot of shady... Well, no, I just think there's a lot of shady shit going on behind the scenes, and them doing an English song has kind of exposed that for me. Honestly, that's what I think. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm not. But
you mean because it's getting more promo because it's in English?
It's getting more promo. Everything is being taken, like all the results are very clear. There's not any, like, big mass deletion of things. They're on the radio. They're like, I don't know. Yeah. I just think that it seems very strange to me that On would have got to number 4 and then dropped, and Dynamite has stayed in the top 2 for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. And like, what are people trying to say, that like ARMY has like quadrupled in size, or like, you know, like I just
I know it's I think you feel conflicted when you celebrate this, because you're like, I'm glad our boys are at the top. But also, fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you.
Yeah.
Fuck you, man. And, like, it upsets me as well, because, like, I know they must be, like, so thrilled about it and everything, but at the same time, it's like, imagine if that was you. Like, I'm trying to think of it from their perspective.
I bet you there's the same point. They're the same way. They're like, this is great, but also, fuck you.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like, I've been getting no help from anyone, performing all of my music for all of these years in my own language, and then when I cater to your language, so all of a sudden the doors are
opening, the performances are coming, the radio airwaves are finally being flooded.
And it's just like, fuck you and your English prioritizing westernized bullshit, man. Like, seriously, fuck off. I hope that, like,
it's the whole idea of, like, you pay to play. It's not a meritocracy. And we all wish it would be, because it makes you feel more engaged when you by yourself as a viewer go, oh yeah, I think this artist is the best. And then that artist becomes number 1. And when the person at the top is someone that you're like, what the fuck is this? then it loses its interest. You don't care about the
there has been all those, like, there's been that, like, article about all the, like, shady text messages of, like, radio DJs. Did you see that?
I saw it. I haven't read it yet.
I didn't read it fully, but I just saw some bits from it. And it was basically, like, text messages that a radio presenter had put that was like, we're going to push this and take this one off of rotation and play this one this amount of times and blah, 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 blah.
Oh, yeah, I saw that going around on my timeline, and I was like, so this is just validating everything we already knew, and nobody was listening to us?
But, you know, that's the thing that really fucking pisses me off, because, like, everybody makes out that ARMYs are just, like, oversensitive.
And paranoid.
Like, being... But it... Like, we're just smarter than you.
We just observe reality. Yeah, and we're smarter. And I think part of it is they think, like, oh, well, it's a bunch of young teenage girls. What could they know? No, we're all ages, all demographics, all backgrounds, all education levels. We're not idiots. And I'm
so sick of them invalidating us, and then we keep getting proven right.
Yeah, because the other thing is, like, we are... Like, we have people in a variety of industries with a variety of expertises and knowledge bases, and we share that all the time.
Yes.
We are such an interconnected community. So and that's why we have all those places on Twitter, for example, where certain ARMYs of a certain profession congregate. You know, like the lawyer ARMYs, the educational ARMYs, I don't even know, STEM ARMYs, whatever. But, like, there's groups of ARMYs everywhere, and nobody keeps information to themselves. If somebody knows something, they share it.
And they'll explain it in a way that is easy for everyone to understand.
The same way I made the Army Finance 101 video.
Exactly. Like,
we don't... gatekeep information.
Yeah, we're not elitist. We're not like, oh, I'm so smart because I know this. Like, it's like, no, I'm going to share this with you because I want everybody to be aware of something that
we want to be collectively armed with the best set of knowledge and understanding of how everything works. And that's why when we're like, none of this shit adds up, everybody else was like, what are you talking about? Shh. And now they're like, and now everybody, with that article, it's like, maybe it's been bullshit.
Yeah,
and
right.
We're like, how is this new information to anyone?
We've been talking about this for fucking years, but it's just, I understand why everyone must fucking hate ARMYs, like, honestly.
Because we don't let anybody get away with anything.
We don't get, like, we're those, like...
So fucking annoying.
Oh, we're like on Scooby-Doo, you know, when they're like, oh, I could have got away with it if it wasn't for you meddling kids.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, we're smarter than you. We know what you're doing, and you're not going to get away with it. And how long are you going to keep trying to just make out like we're dumb when actually we know exactly what we're talking about, and it will come to light, and then we'll be like, see?
Yep.
But anyway, we still did amazingly and got those results. So, like, yeah.
Hooray! And fuck you, Billboard.
Happy. Exactly. Both at the same time. Hooray, ARMYs. Hooray, BTS. You're all incredible. Fuck you, Billboard.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, next.
So next, BTS spoke at the Youth Day ceremony at the Blue House in Korea on September 19th. They also left a time capsule, which will be opened in the year 2039, which I will be watching.
Am I the only one who watched that and didn't understand it was a time capsule at first and was like, so are you going to open it? Like, now? and then they presented it and then they left. And I was like, but don't you want to open it? No. Come back in 20 years.
I love that though. I always have really liked time capsules. I think it's really, really cool. Even though, like, I'm very impatient, so it's really annoying. But I'll just forget. I'll forget about it. I'll forget it's a thing, and then it will come back around, and I'll be like, "Oh yeah!" Wait, by that time. So how far into the future is that?
Years.
Like 20 years? 20 years in the future. So I'll be like in my mid-40s. That's crazy.
I'll be almost 50.
Nice. Oh, but yeah.
I'll still be an ARMY.
Oh, yeah. You know for sure I'm still going to be there. But it was just really cool. I just like that they were invited because they are just elite, especially in regards to youth, and the fact that they left that time capsule. They all looked really smart, and it was really funny seeing them all like quarantine really far apart from, not quarantine, like social distance.
Yeah, I thought that was really well done. It was a nice day. It was outdoors. Everybody was spread out, and I was like, this is how you do it correctly.
Exactly. And it was funny. Did you see I think it was Jin and Jungkook that they were like greeting each other and pretending they didn't know each other?
Oh no, I missed that. That's so cute.
It was really cute.
Aww.
Okay, moving on.
Mm-hmm.
So we had the NPR Tiny Desk concert where they performed Dynamite, Save Me, and Spring Day with a live band.
So good.
It was incredible.
Yeah. I will say, this is where I started to hear, like, you could tell that they were experimenting with the sound mixing a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they did a phenomenal job. Like,
it was amazing.
That way of mixing their vocals, I don't think I've heard it from other people. Like, it seems to me it's like loud and soft.
I think what they probably do is like add separate layers of their vocals and then add different effects to the layers. So it's like you're not just getting it out of one channel, it's like more, and then they're adding different effects. So it's like a layered,
like an accordion
vocal. Yeah, I'm guessing that would be my guess, because it very much does sound like it has all different textures and like richness.
Yeah, it sounds like it's really rich, but the edges are soft.
Yeah, it's very cleverly done. Very cleverly done.
Yeah,
it sounded amazing.
Yeah, it was very pleasant to hear. Like, it felt like they were petting my ear, the inside of my ear canals. Even though that sounds kind of gross.
The thing about that is, like, people don't understand that you still have to sing very well and on pitch for it to sound good. Like, it's not just, oh, this will fix your live vocals. It's not like that in any way. It just changes the sound. And like, if you listen to a different live performance from them and then compare it to this one, like, it's just the way the sound comes across rather than like their vocals themselves.
I think a lot of people complain about any edits done to voices is when they don't have any idea of how much work it is. Because if you want something to sound good, then the raw version better be as perfect as it can be so that the effect can make it nicer.
Yeah.
And if you want an example of like auto-tune where you
got wrong.
Yeah, like Kanye can't sing for shit, but he uses auto-tune. The auto-tune makes it better, but you can still hear through the auto-tune that his voice isn't that good. And
I mean, I've never really listened to him perform live.
Oh, no, not even live. He does it on his albums as well. Like, I'm thinking, my Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, I was just listening to it the other day, and he has like a bunch of auto-tune in it, and I'm like, man, even with the auto-tune, I can tell you are not a good singer. Which is fine. Like, he's a rapper, whatever. But in BTS's case, like, they sing full-bodied, clearly. They're on pitch. It's just, it sounds so good. And that's why when you add in the effect and you mix the sound, it's even better.
Yeah, and like when you add a slight bit of auto-tune to your vocals whilst you're performing live, it's basically like when you record a vocal, you can see it like in the bar, it's like this. So say this is your vocal. Say you want to hit this note. It might be like squiggly like this within the note. So like, basically, because when I edit my vocals, you have it and then it'll be like kind of like this, squiggly up and down, because your
vocal cords are vibrating.
Yeah, well, that's intentional sometimes, like vibrato, but like if you're not completely on pitch, then it might sound slightly off, it might sound slightly high or low, but you can, like, if you do that with auto-tune live, it basically condenses the the amount that it goes up and down. So like and you can hear it when you hear some of their live vocals, like they might have gone tiny bit higher, but like it corrects it. Like it's really hard to explain, but I think that should make sense.
No, that makes sense. That's really interesting. I love knowing that.
But yeah, it's really cool, and it's a very clever effect because it's not like it's changing anything about what you're doing. It's just like polishing it almost, you know? So yeah, I just really liked that. I was really surprised that they sang Save Me, but I think it was fitting, and I really loved the live version. And
I like how when Namjoon rapped, they all stood up to dance his move instead.
Yeah. And I will say, like, for me, Jimin just stood out so much in this performance.
He was very sassy in this performance.
He was, but I just mean his live vocals. His vocals, just every time I was like, oh wow, it was always Jimin. And I was like, he just sounds so good. And I think, again, like they've perfected the way that he like his voice is produced. Like they found the exact right fit for him when he's singing live, and it sounds so incredible. And yeah, I just loved it. And I loved what they were all wearing as well.
Yes, it was great all around. I hope that more people get introduced to them through those performances.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of people will probably find them through there, which is really cool because NPR is like a very well-known, I don't know what you call it, series.
NPR is just it's public radio. It's very well known for all the things that they do. But I will say the audience that listens to NPR is usually a bit older and a bit more intellectual.
Yes.
So those are people who would, I think, actually appreciate BTS.
I think so, yeah. But okay, so yeah, that was just really cool. I loved seeing it with a live band, and yeah. So next we had the new BTS and ARMY magazine on Weverse. Did you know that Big Hit are actually hiring for a magazine editor right now?
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I looked at it and I was like, that would be my dream job, but I don't speak Korean, so.
No, yeah.
But yeah.
That's amazing. They also came out of the blue. They were just like,
I know.
Boop, here's a magazine. And they didn't even give you all of it. They were like, here's part 1. Yeah. You'll get the rest later.
Did we know this was coming? I don't think we did we?
I know. Mm-mm.
I didn't.
I didn't know either.
But I'm pretty sure like it will be with all of the artists on Weverse, not just like BTS, because from what I saw, because I did look at the jobs description because I was like, this is so cool. But you have to know like about all the artists on Weverse. So I'm thinking that they are making Weverse into their very own kind of media enterprise of like...
That's awesome.
Yeah, like magazines and like a social media platform plus a media platform. Like I think that they are gearing up to create this into its own separate kind of media,
like a big hub. I mean, it makes sense. Yes. And also if you have a magazine that's all the artists, then if you are a fan of one artist, you may just happen to take a look at one of the other artists and go, ooh, that's interesting. And then that's how you go check out,
exactly
their music.
And maybe like they'll release magazines with all of them in at once, and then maybe they'll put the specific artist ones on the artist page, or I'm not sure. But yeah, it was also just written so well. It was very true.
Grade A journalism right there.
Oh, it was perfection, wasn't it? It was everything an ARMY would want to hear. Like, you can tell that the people they've got working on this, that they've got writing, are either ARMY themselves or are very, very, very involved in the fandom, because it was exactly what we would want to say, exactly what we would want to hear about. They had, like, interesting comments from the members themselves. They had stuff about ARMY's charity work. They had, like, all really, like, respectful language, and, like, and it was just perfect. It was the perfect article.
I wonder if all of this was born during the Map of the Soul 7 promotional era, when ARMYs were all pissed off at all the shitty promotion and all the lack of journalism over the things that matter to us, and how all of these, in part you could say that our own channel grew out of that. Our own podcast grew out of that. Yeah. You had other podcasts that came about, other channels, all these like threads, all these articles that ARMY started publishing themselves, because we were like, you know what? If no one else is going to give us the representation,
we'll do it for ourselves.
Yeah, we'll do it ourselves. And I think, I wonder if this is Big Hit going, okay, we will do this too. Because you're right, we do deserve, if no one is going to give us a voice, then we will use our own voice. We will speak yourself.
Speak ourselves.
Yes.
But I think you're right. And I don't even necessarily think it had to be from On Promotions, because ARMYs have been complaining about journalism since the beginning of time. Like,
that is true.
You know that Big Hit has been like seeing how much we are pissed about the lack of journalism, and I bet they're the same way, that like they will see more than us how little coverage their artists get.
And I'm sure they also agree one thing and then see something else.
Yeah.
So I think there's an added layer of frustration on their end.
Yep. And I mean, I think as well that this is very much the way they do things. BTS weren't treated right on variety shows, so they created their own variety show. BTS weren't,
which is now more successful.
Exactly. BTS like were shit on by like Naver and all those broadcasting sites, so now they made Weverse so that they can distribute their own content. Like, they are very much, oh, you're not going to treat us fairly? All right, fuck you then, we'll do it ourselves. And then they end up outselling everyone, and it's absolutely wonderful, and I enjoy it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like they're doing the same again.
Good, yeah. I hope.
And the thing is as well, like, you can't get better than going directly to the source.
Mm-hmm.
If journalists are reporting about BTS, it's always from an outside perspective. They have to go through certain layers, and like, there's always going to be like that bias behind it. Whereas with it coming straight from the source, it's like, this is completely what we think and it is accurate.
The only exception to that is I enjoy ARMY journalists who report on BTS to the general public, or they also present BTS in a way that is like showing like, well, this is how BTS look from this culture, from that perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And but it has to be a journalist who's actually going to do their homework and their research. ARMY journalists for the win.
And I mean, I think that it's very much, agreed, by the way, ARMY journalists for the win. But I think it is, they're probably doing this much more for ARMY. Like, journalists themselves, we kind of try to get information from journalists, but I don't think ARMYs actually care about the articles so much. We
just want the good representation.
Yeah, we want them to be fair. We want them to like represent them the same as everybody else. We don't want them to like present any like really horrible language. Like, I saw this bloody article today or yesterday that was it basically interviewed a producer that has worked with BTS among other K-pop artists, and in the article it was like, oh, BTS sent me a track and I like worked on a couple of things. I didn't change too much, they just wanted some things. And then like the headline was like, the person behind BTS's music. And it's just like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, but that's just, honestly, that's just the fucking media for you a lot of the time.
That's sad.
Twists everything.
Yeah, just
for the juiciest news.
Fucking disappointing. So yeah, I'm glad after a sea of disappointments, Big Hit said, you know what, fuck you, we'll do it ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the thing is, Big Hit like always knows what we want and how to provide it to us, and if we're not getting it, they're like, all right, we'll make it.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, we're not quiet about what we want.
Yes.
We're pretty vocal, so they just have to open their ears, and we're like, this is what we want, we'll pay for it. And they're like, oh, okay. Here you go.
Okay, so next, we had BTS speaking once again at the United Nations General Assembly. This was on the 23rd of September, and they gave a speech to spread hope during the COVID-19 pandemic.
First off, name me any other musical artist that is speaking at the UN right now.
Yeah, like, I don't actually know. Like, is that a thing? Like, have other musical artists? No.
I think Big Hit, BTS is speaking there because of the programs, that they're partnering with. Like, they are an active partner in something that is happening, and that's why they get that platform. And that by itself puts BTS in a separate category from just entertainers. They are also philanthropists.
Activists.
Activists and philanthropists. And so I know how proud we all feel when we watch them. And I also, like, at this point, obviously they had to record this in Korea, and then it was just aired at the UN. And I didn't even need them to, like, do anything for me. I was just simply proud and happy to be able to witness them speaking there again on this world stage. But once again, BTS supported me and said the things that I didn't know I needed to hear. And it was so just emotionally, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, I was just like, thank you. Thank you for being you and for saying exactly the right thing I needed to hear. Yeah,
honestly, like, I keep using this one phrase that Namjoon said. I think it's so clever, and especially when you first hear it, it's just really nice. So it was something about when you look at the sky let the stars guide you. And if there aren't any stars, then let the moon light your way. And if there's no moonlight, then let the face staring back at you be the thing that gives you strength. And it was really pretty, and it was a lovely way of phrasing something. But like, it really got into my head, and I was really thinking about it. And I was like, when you look out of your window at the sky, like it's black, it's dark, but like when you see the stars, like you have a way of seeing things. You have something to like light up the way to make you feel like you can, I don't know, whatever. And if there aren't any stars, if there's no stars, then you've got the moon lights up the sky, blah, 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 blah. It's something to have hope for, something to dream about, just kind of illuminate the darkness. And then if there's no moon, then it's complete blackness outside. But because of that blackness, you can see your own reflection in the window. And it's like, if everything is lost, if everything feels hopeless, you will always have your own reflection. And it's so accurate. It's nice to have stars. It's nice to have the moon. It's nice to have something to hold on to. But if you have nothing, you will always have yourself. Always. You can always look to yourself. And it just really touched me a lot. And I thought it was very mature, very wise, and very comforting. And I loved it.
I don't even want to be so emotionally touched by them anymore. I can't handle it. And they just very casually go, here's something else to emotionally devastate you. Yep. We love you. Bye. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Yep. They just drop it on you and then disappear. And it's like, that we just did that. We spoke at the UN and said all these nice things. Yeah. But I had a very angry rant on Twitter about this because...
Shall we make the shade room?
Yeah, let's. There was a lot of like awful British backlash, which made me very annoyed because I'm British. But there was just a lot of fucking shitty people being like, oh, I'm a researcher, I have a PhD, I'm famous or I'm smart, so that means I know that the UN is obviously just doing this to try to manipulate people, and they should be talking about all the problems, and BTS, like, they're just being used like to do this and they shouldn't have done that, and blah 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 blah. And I was just like,
you are just a dried up prune who doesn't understand what joy and hope even fucking look like anymore.
Exactly. It's like, why
are we suffering right along with your misery?
Like, everything positive can't be positive. It's just a manipulation tactic. And the reason this pissed me off so much is because, one, you are literally infantilizing everyone who is involved in this as if you are smarter than they are.
I'm the only one who sees the truth.
Yeah.
Okay, like, Sally.
It's so fucking stupid because it's like, you, like, how dare you sit there and think that you're smarter than everybody else just because I see things the way they are? No, you're just
I'm a journalist.
Oh my god, I hate
that doesn't mean shit. How many journalists has this fandom dealt with who don't understand how to do their own fucking job to the point where ARMY started to do your job for you?
But it's literally like, it's got to the point where like everything positive is obviously just manipulation, and anybody that actually has hope or love for anything in the world is clearly stupid. We just like to be happy and hopeful, okay? Leave us alone.
Well, yeah, everything hopeful is manipulating me into being hopeful.
And it's just so stupid. And the other thing about it is like, this woman responded to BTS at the UN speech saying something like, God, no, or something.
Yeah, because it was like an article saying like they brought hope, like a message of hope.
And she was like, God, no. And then like people were like, that's a bit fucking rude. Like, there's absolutely no need for that. And then somebody else was like, oh, you clearly aren't looking at British culture because British culture likes to take the piss out of things that are hopeful. And I was like, bitch, I'm British. Yes, we take the piss out of things that are hopeful, but we don't do it just for the sake of like shitting on everyone. We do it because we're like, oh yeah, everything's gonna be absolutely fantastic, isn't it? Excuse me while I go cry in this hole while I want to die. That's how we use British humor. We don't use British humor to like tear everybody down. And the other thing about it is like, by saying that, you are literally negating the Korean cultural significance that Korean people are speaking at the United Nations about coronavirus during a time when there is heightened racism towards Asian people, and they have been given a platform to speak. You sit there and say we need to care about your fucking culture, and you're not even caring about somebody else's culture in your fucking sentence asking to care about culture. Shut up.
Talk about tone fucking deaf. Just
Oh,
I loved your rant, by the way, just now.
thank you. I needed to get it out. I hate my country sometimes.
I don't even know if it's that. I just think it's someone being very ethnocentric and very just self-centered. If you were actually a good fucking journalist, you would be able to see things outside of your own perspective.
The only reason people even think that the world revolves around Western culture is because we literally subjugated everyone else hundreds of years ago. Like, that's nothing to be proud of. That's not something you should be proud of. Just sit the fuck down. And then somebody else was like, oh, this little Korean pop group. And I was just like, bitch, do you even know who you're talking about, you racist idiot?
That's where I lost it. And I couldn't let that go. I'm like, this little Korean boy band spoke at the UN. What the fuck have you done with your life? What is your greatest accomplishment?
Shall I tell you what she has done? She is on a British game show.
Wow.
Anyway, people are stupid and armies should rule the world because we're smarter than you all.
Yeah, what a way to have your brief 15 minutes of fame on the internet, and now you've faded away into obscurity because nobody fucking cares about a journalist who can't actually do their job.
Okay, anyway, back to BTS. We fucking love you, BTS.
Back to positivity and hope.
Oh yeah, that's what we were talking about. Positivity and hope, everyone. We love it. Thank you, BTS. Okay.
What's next? What are we talking about next?
So, they unveiled the choreography video of Dynamite on the gaming platform Fortnite. That was a combination, if you didn't notice, by the way. But yeah, so they had Dynamite on Fortnite. I hate Fortnite, but I support it anyway. And it's just a very cool opportunity to reach a different kind of audience. I thought it was smart on their part, very smart. And like, yeah, I think that it's a cool thing. Like, they like gaming, they like things like that. I bet it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's them doing what artists in the West do. So I'm glad they had that opportunity, and I'm glad Fortnite, could and they could make an agreement to do that.
Yes. Yep. They were nominated for Top Social Artist and Top Duo Group once again at the BBMAs. Honestly, if we talk about this, I'm just going to rant again because they deserve more than this, but I fucking hate Billboard. So should we just move on?
Yeah, in conclusion, fuck you, Billboard.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so BTS had the week-long takeover on the Jimmy Fallon show. Wow. Well, the Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon. And okay, here we can have positivity and hope for incredible American TV and like amazingness. Thank you, Jimmy Fallon. He's amazing.
We can tell when it's a real connection. We can tell when people want to support BTS for real. And the way that Jimmy Fallon handled this was just incredible. Going off of that in February when he did that whole episode long thing with BTS, where BTS just took over the entire episode and they filmed at Central Station, and it was this huge project.
They put so much effort into BTS.
Yeah,
it was so nice.
And this week, and it was all logistically done really well in terms of like, it was called BTS Week. You had the online Twitter account promoting it all day long forever. Jimmy Fallon's Twitter account was promoting it. You had there was commercials on it on TV all the time, and then he would open every episode with saying like BTS will be on at the end. The beginning of the week, opened with Dynamite, like acapella, scat, bip bop version.
It was so cool.
I think it's one of my favorite versions of that song.
It was also very American. Like, it was so American it hurt, but I fucking loved it. And I
liked it. And then like ending, like their song choices for the week, like for each day, were amazing. Starting with Idol.
Do you want to talk about like what we think each one represented and why it was good?
Yeah, but in context, in relation to our previous rant, I just wanted to say the fact that they opened the week on one of the biggest nighttime shows in America, and I would say potentially the world because of the audience that it reaches. Yeah. And they performed Idol wearing hanbok and like the traditional Korean clothing in front of the National Palace, right?
Yes. It was... I watched a video about the history of this palace because apparently the one they were performing at is only part of the complex. Like there's different buildings, and I think this was the one where the king would like meet with people or something. I watched this history video about it because I was fascinated.
Yeah, but anyway, so they did this, and this is and singing a song that says, "You can't stop me loving myself." They were so proud of their cultural identity in that video, and it was their first foot forward in this week of BTS performances, and them saying to the world, to America, "Hi, I am South Korean and I'm fucking proud of it, and look how great I am because of where I come from."
And what I would just like to add to that is they did it on the same night that they did Dynamite a cappella version, aka the most American thing ever.
Yes.
It was like, yes, we can do things that you will enjoy. We can do our English song and we can do it a cappella, but we are fucking Korean and this is what we are, and that's okay, and that's awesome, and we can do both.
Yes. And then the impact that had on so many armies, especially people who armies who relate to being an immigrant and who are Korean, the amount of pride and gratitude and catharsis that I saw happening on social media because of this one performance, I couldn't stop feeling so proud and so happy and wanting to turn around and bitch to those stupid dumbass journalists. Like, this is why they are important, because of this right here. The amount of hope, self-identity, pride, confidence that they instill in others is something that is life-changing. It will literally
in a
make
world where everyone is supposed to feel ashamed of who they are. It's like a lot of the time Western countries like make out like everybody else is less, and it's just bullshit. Like, and so I was just like, this is why it's important, and this is why what they've done up to this point, if they never did anything ever again, they would still be so incredibly pivotal at this moment in the world's cultural like movement. Yes, exactly. And talking about this, actually, on the second night, we had John Cena, and that was awesome. And the thing that I loved that he said, and what I always reiterate, is you don't have to like their music. You don't have to like them. You really don't. But if you even try to disrespect them or not recognize their impact in the world and in culture and in these areas, then you are wrong. Because it's a fact. It is a fact. You have to acknowledge that. You have to acknowledge that that's a positive thing that they are doing. You can hate their music. You can think they're annoying. You can think whatever. But you respect the fact that they have been doing these incredible things and they are worthy of everything that they've been getting, and they deserve respect. And that's it. That's all you need to do. Literally.
Yep.
And I loved that John Cena said that. It really made me happy.
And I love how proud he is of being an ARMY. And talk about another ARMY, or he was just like, yeah, I'm ARMY. Like proud. Like, yes, I am. Fuck that stereotype that they're only teenage girls.
Exactly. And yeah, I just really appreciate Jimmy Fallon as well. And I also just think he's so smart because like most people turned their back on BTS, made them feel rubbish. And like they haven't really been back to many US shows except from like Corden and Fallon.
Mm-hmm.
And like the fact that it's a testament to the fact that he is an open-minded person, that he is a kind person. And he's gone to so much effort. And the fact that he's been given rewards for doing so makes me really happy, like with all just all the engagement that he gets, the like charitable things that people do. It just like, that's the thing, when you actually do nice things for people and not for your own benefit, you will get things in return. And
like,
that's
I saw especially true for ARMY. If you're nice to us, we will drown you in love.
Exactly. But quickly moving back to Shade Room, because I have something to say to stupid people.
Yes.
I saw some people complaining on Twitter that Jimmy shouted at Jimin. He was like, why did he shout at Jimin though? Like, he was like, he shouldn't be talking to him like that. Basically, when they were playing one of the games, you know, the one with the remote controls when they were like balancing, Jimmy was like, Jimin, hurry up. Right?
Oh.
And everyone was like, why are you shouting at him? Not everyone. Some people were like, why are you shouting at him? You shouldn't be shouting at him.
What the fuck?
And I was just like, they're friends. Like, have you never had a friend?
No. The answer is no.
Well, yeah. It's like, that's what you do. That's how you talk to your friends. You're like, hurry up, the time's running out. Like,
yeah.
What is wrong with you? And then he afterwards, he was like, oh, Jimin, you're such a cheater. Like, because you're teasing a friend. Like, they're friends.
Yeah. Oh my god, are you kidding me? People were actually upset by this?
Yes.
Grow the fuck up.
I know, it's so stupid. And then even afterwards, Jimin was like, he like pulled that face when he was like this. And people were like, yeah, even Jimin was upset by it. And I was like, like, that look was literally, he accidentally dropped the remotes and then was like, I'm cool, see, I'm gonna pull this cool pose.
Yeah. Do there actually exist people who are that bad at reading a situation? I guess there must be.
Apparently. I don't understand, but yes. Sometimes
I will say I really hate how Twitter amplifies these idiots and lets their opinion seemingly be on the same level as normal, common sense, reasoned logic.
As if it actually makes any sense. Oh, it's just ridiculous. Anyway, let's move back. So, BTS week, I loved it. I just think, first point, it's the perfect way to introduce someone to BTS. So, like, if somebody doesn't know BTS, you show them these 5 performances and it will give them a crash course. Like, BTS have created their very own crash course. And you can tell that they have strategically planned this, because they could have just performed Make It Right, Mic Drop, Boy With Love, Dynamite, and I don't know what their other most famous one is. But the ones they typically, maybe DNA, yeah. The ones they typically have performed in the West that people might know, they didn't do that at all. They even picked B-sides, like
Home.
I know, I was so happy. But each of them was very, like, you could tell they had thought about what they wanted to show. And what I loved about it is, like, each one stands alone as a completely different thing. If you watched it, you'd be like, this is the same group. Yeah. Especially as people in the West, because they're not used to people genre hopping. Like, you see one performance and you know the artist, you know what they're about. With BTS, even if you watch 20, you still don't know what they're about. And
that's why we can't quit them. It's always new.
But like, so we had the a cappella performance and then the idol performance that we've spoken about. And that was very much like, I felt like it was very cultural. It was like, we can show you something which you're very used to, which is American, which is an a cappella thing, which you've probably seen a few times before, and then we can show you something that you haven't seen before, something that we're very proud to show. And I just love that kind of duality. Plus, Idol really shows off their dance moves. Yeah. Like, it's an incredible dance, and it shows them as incredible performance. Then we had Home. Home is one of those songs that's just very, like, groovy, and it was so adorable. Like, their personalities really came across. They were really cute and they were really just silly, like goofy. And you were like, what are you doing? But it was
the chaotic puppies thing.
Yes, the chaotic puppies, exactly. So that showed that side of them. Then we had Black Swan, which shows the more like serious, artistic, mature side, as well as like a bit of their hip hop sound, which is another layer. Then we had Microcosmos, which is more of like maybe a typical boy band song, like something that
I don't know. I thought it was more for ARMY that day.
Yeah,
because it was like I think they were at the National Palace, but like on the other side of it.
Yeah,
in front of the water, and it was like them kind of like in stage performance
because they had
mode.
their light in the sky as well.
Yeah, I burst into tears when I saw that in the ARMY logo shape. I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Come on!"
Yeah,
I'm emotionally punched.
Like, everyone knows how much I love Microcosmos, and it reminds me of the type of song you would hear at the end of an indie movie. Like, it's very British as well. It's a very British type of sound, and I think the producer that worked on it is that British duo. But anyway, like it's just another sound. It's more of a ballad. It's more of a feel-good thing, and they didn't perform during this one. It was simply just standing and singing. So that's another side. And then we had Dynamite, the actual performance.
Roller skating. They were so bad at roller skating. It was so funny.
I mean, Jimin was really good, and Namjoon was really good.
Tay was bad.
Tay was just terrible, and Hobie wasn't too great either. But
Tay was the worst.
Yeah, it was so cute. He was like little Bambi on ice.
It reminded me of that time, I don't know where it is, but when they went to a ice skating rink and Namjoon is talking to the camera and behind him Tay is like slip and then falls over.
Yes, that's during isn't that during their Winter Olympic run episode?
Something
I think
like
it's
that.
Behind the scenes of that. Oh my god, that is so funny. And he proper like flails backwards. Oh.
And it's like an extended like 5 to 10 seconds of him trying to stabilize and then he falls over.
Oh my god. Yeah. But yeah, that performance was just like, here's our latest single, here's what us like signing off BTS. And I just loved it literally is like a crash course to BTS, like a gateway to learning about them, to seeing a bit about what they're about, their personalities, their diverse range of music, their performance skills, their dancing abilities. It was awesome. And I'm pretty sure they said they're adding the lyrics as well, the lyric translation.
That was the other thing I was going to say. Logistically, I loved that the premiere of the performance happened close to the same time on TV and online, which allowed the fandom, whoever was in the US was able to watch it in the US, and whoever wasn't could watch it online. Or you were like me and watched it in both places at once. And like we had both like the, our phone hooked up to like Chromecast and the TV, and we were like, all right, which one's faster? Oh, okay, it's the YouTube one. Okay, switch to YouTube.
Cute.
Yeah, and I just think that allowed the community to experience it together. Nobody was feeling left out. And then the fact that they heard ARMYs asking for subtitles and said that they would work on adding subtitles.
And it's such an important thing as well, because like, and they have started adding subtitles now for the interviews and things like that. And I really do hope it becomes commonplace to add subtitles to their performances, because it's like accessibility. Like, it's in the same way that you should always provide things for people that can't access certain things, like so there's an alternative. You should provide like the translations. I just think it just makes sense. Like it's not that difficult. Like,
overall, I really appreciated the way that they were treated and respected on his show.
Yes,
A+.
Always. Yep. I think Jimmy Fallon is awesome. What was your favorite performance out of the 6, I guess?
I think I have to say Black Swan. I was just so blown away by how beautiful they looked, their set. I rewatched every performance twice. Like whatever. Yeah. Like I told you, it was like YouTube or TV, whichever one came first. I would watch it there, and then I would go to the other one and watch it again on the other one, just for funsies. And if you watch the Black Swan performance, I think there's a large part of it that is green screen. And
Oh, really?
yeah, if you rewatch it, like, I think there's only one little part of their set that's real, that this thing they stand on, and everything else is fake. But it's the lighting is so good on them that it looks like it's coming in through windows and all of that.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I was just really blown away by the stage production on that one, on all of them, to be honest. But yeah, what about you?
My favorite was Home, the Home one. I watched it like 10 times just because I am a sucker for cute things, and it was so cute, and I just thought that they were so silly and goofy and playful. And like, you know the bit of the bridge when it like zooms around and then there's just Jimin sitting on the stair?
The camera work was so good.
Oh my god, it was incredible. But I literally watched that part of Jimin 50 times.
Why?
Like, because it's so fucking cute. Like, he does this little, like, Jimin is just, like, he really is right, in Filter. He's so good at portraying a certain, like, characteristic that goes with the song that he's trying to present. Whether it be, like, flirtatious, whether it be cute, whether it be... Like, he's just really, really good at that. And, like, he just has such an incredible way of showing that. And I was just, like, in awe throughout the performance of just how incredible he is at presenting the image he wants to get across. And it really got to me. Like, I was squealing and I was like, yes, you've got it. Like, you know exactly what you're doing and you do it so well. You're so fucking cute. And it was so cute. And I thought he was so soft and adorable in it. And yeah.
The other thing I agree with you. That's why he's my bias. But the other thing I wanted to say is I really enjoyed what BTS have done with the fact that you have to have performances that can't be in person.
Yes. Like they've taken full advantage of it, haven't they?
Mm-hmm. And it makes you look forward to their performances instead of going like, oh, this will be okay. Like, Home. What an elaborate stage.
I know.
The spinning room.
I know.
The kitchen where he takes out like there's army cans and BTS drinks in there. Like, I want that fridge.
And all the like the magic tricks and stuff that they would do.
Yeah, or like him looking in the mirror and then you look back and Tae's there and you look back and then Namjoon's there.
Yeah.
Like, it's so well done.
Like, each one of their performances literally looks like a music video. And this is the thing, like, Western artists can do good home performances, but they do a good home performance. BTS do a music video and call it a home performance. Do you know what I mean?
I think it's the difference between you watch a Western artist at home and you can't forget about the pandemic. You watch BTS perform and BTS is like, fuck that pandemic. Come away with us for 3 minutes and we'll perform and take you somewhere else.
I just think it's like, yes, but also like they do it with most things. They go the extra mile. Like, you tell a Western artist, okay, we want a performance of you from home. So they give you a performance from home. You say to BTS, we want a performance of you from home. BTS goes, okay, get in a film camera crew, get in a new choreographer, get in this, get in that. And they give you like 10 times what you asked for. Most people don't make the extra effort.
And think how much more difficult that was logistically, making sure everybody was COVID free, making sure they could all be there and perform, and then make like the cost of all of that.
Yeah, like, but that's the point. And what we were talking about earlier, they always go the extra mile. And that's why they just set the bar so high.
And that's why we are so devoted in terms of following their appearances, because we know we are going to get something that's high quality.
Exactly. Okay, let's move on. So this is just a very quick one, I think. I don't think we'll have much to say about it. But BTS performed at Lotte Duty Free family concert alongside, is it G-Friend? Is it pronounced G-Friend?
I don't know.
G-Friend, Lee Hyun and Tomorrow by Together on the 27th. I really liked their... Yeah, I really, really liked their slot. I also thought that I only watched Tomorrow by Together because I signed in a bit late, so I only watched them and BTS. But Tomorrow by Together, their live vocals are amazing. They were really good too. But I just really liked that it was a family concert that they got to.
Yeah, they all got to be there.
Yeah, it was really cute.
I will say I really liked the like outfit concept that BTS had. The second one where it was all like cloud stuff, like. And like I watched it with my husband, and we like kept noticing like someone has a cloud shirt, someone has a cloud undershirt, someone has cloud pants, someone has cloud shoes, and we were like, this concept is so cool. And I was like, I also want all of that. I want those clothes. So yeah, it was nice to see. I'm glad they got to do that, and again they blew it out of the park.
Of course, as always. Okay, so then we had the BTS Jason Derulo remix of Savage Love, which I enjoyed. I mean, we've spoken about this privately. Like, you said that you really didn't like the song. Like, before the remix came out, you were like, I don't like this song. No. And then I listened to it for the first time, and I was like, hey, it's not that bad, actually. It's kind of catchy. It makes me want to dance. And then by the end of the song, I was like, okay, it's a bit repetitive now. And then literally, I'm not kidding you, the next 3 days, that like horn sound kept coming into my head at all moments. Like when I was trying to sleep, when I was trying to cook, when I was trying to pee, every day it kept coming into my head until I literally hated it so much. But then the remix came out. I really liked it. I thought they did really well on it. I think it must have been something arranged by their record label, and they kind of just jumped on that.
I think it's part of their promo in the West.
Yeah, same. That's what I mean. Like, get on a track with a more Western artist and like that's kind of well known, and then. Yeah.
I mean, I thought they did a really good job. I think Jungkook's vocals are amazing. I think him singing in English is getting better and better.
His accent is incredible.
Yeah, I think you can tell that he's been really practicing, and his improvement shows. And I think I remember him saying somewhere like he wants to sing songs like that. He wants to sing in English the same way I think Tae wants to sing in English.
Yeah.
Not because they think English is better, but because it's like something within their reach that's just a little further away, and if they tried a little harder, they could grab it. And it would make them be able to sing songs similar to the songs they listen to and like.
Yeah, I think so. And I loved the video that he posted of him just doing it a cappella. It was so good. He sounds exactly the same. And I've said now, like, Jungkook has reached a point where you cannot tell if his vocals are live because they are that good.
Yeah.
Like, I always can tell if somebody's singing live. It's just like you can just pick up on it because of their breathing, because of the slight changes in their tones or whatever. And I can never tell that Jungkook is live. He always sounds pre-recorded because his vocals are so perfect.
I know. He just eats CDs for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
It's insane. But, like, you can usually tell, even if you're, like, the best singer ever, you can still usually tell.
Yeah.
But you can't with Jungkook, and it's really weird. But, like, I just don't get how his voice is so perfect. Yeah.
He's just...
But I also loved that it was Hobie and Yoongi on the track as the rappers. Because, like, normally it would have been Jungkook and Namjoon simply because they are the, like, clearest pronunciation in English. Like, that's what they've kind of done before on, like, Waste It On Me or whatever. Or, I mean, we had Jimin and Jungkook on Laugh's album. But I just really was appreciative of the fact that, like, they could have done that, but they were like, nah, we'll add a Korean verse and we'll...
Yeah. I also like that they just still promote themselves as, oh, it's featuring BTS, even when it's not 100% of everyone on it, because it still conveys the sense of this is a unit.
Yes. Just because we are participating as a certain amount of members, we belong to a team. We are a team.
And plus, you never know how they make those songs, like, behind the scenes, like how much input everyone has, how they talk together, who suggests what. Maybe somebody else had other backing vocals recorded that made it onto the final song or not. Like, you never know. So at the end of the day, it still is a group project. What you hear is not representative of who worked on it.
Exactly. Yep. Okay, so our final piece of news, which is very exciting, is BTS have announced their comeback, and their new album B will be released on the 20th of November. It's described as being the most BTS-esque music ever.
Which doesn't tell you anything.
I know, like BTS-esque as in, the way I interpreted it was like they're gonna be the most personal they've ever been.
Yeah? I don't know. Honestly.
But I have no idea.
I think that they, and Big Hit, all of them, enjoy fucking with us and giving us hints and promo and sneak peeks at things that have not been released yet without telling us anything.
Oh, did you see Namjoon's post on Weverse today before the concert?
What was it?
He literally posted the set list, but he just included the title.
Yeah. And he was like, oh, it's so exciting. I'm like, fuck you, buddy. I love you. But what is this? Or I still remember when they were on that radio show, the NBC radio show, and the host was like, can you give us any hints about your new album? And I think Tae was like, that there will be a song on there between like 2 and 3 minutes long. Yeah.
We sing on the new album.
Yeah, and I was like, I know they love fucking with us, but I'm just like, come on. So when I saw the description of this album, BTS-esque music, I'm like, thank you for telling me nothing.
Oh, that would be good. BT-esque. That would be a great documentary title. BT-esque. Copyright. It would though, right?
Yeah. It might confuse some people, but yeah.
Yeah, true. But yeah, this album was very expensive. But I know Big Hit.
Oh, God.
I know Big Hit and BTS, and I know that the amount of shit we're going to get in this album is going to be a lot.
And the amount of work that's gone into it.
Yes.
If all of that is reflected in this album.
Yes. Like, it's the most I've ever spent on an album, and I kind of was like, I really feel bad spending this much on an album. But I know it's going to be worth the money. Like, it always is. Yeah. And it's so personal.
That's what I mean. The brand, if you establish yourself as a brand that will consistently give you high quality, that will make it worth your time and money, then people will throw it at you in pre-orders. And when you have a pre-order, then you know logistically what you have to do to get all of that out the door. And it is a more cost-effective way of manufacturing a product. So, this is literally the best business model you could have as an entertainment company. And Big Hit is doing it right.
Yes.
So
yes.
But yeah, I agree with you. The price, I bought it. Oh my God. I lost my mind.
I was like, oh
yeah,
God.
I bought it.
Oh God.
First, I bought it through Weverse Global, and it was like $65. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then people on Twitter remind me, they're like, you're in the US, you should be buying it on the US store. And I'm like, oh, fuck. So I canceled it, and I went and bought it pre-ordered it on the US store, and it was $5 more expensive. It was like 60 global, 65 on the US, and I was like, why is it more expensive? And it was like shipping, $30-something, and I'm like, huh? Like, I don't understand any of this. And then it was being released on all the other sites that they like, Walmart, Amazon, Target. And I kept going like, what is with all this shipping? And then somebody literally was like, Yummy, when you buy it through Amazon or Target, there is no shipping. And I was like, oh. So then I went and canceled my Weverse US purchase and bought it through Amazon.
Love it. Oh. Yeah, It came out on a website for me in the UK, HMV. It's like a CD distribution thingy. And it was like £50-something, and I was like I want it, and I know it's going to be worth it. But that's so much money for an album. I know, because I think all of our expectations. So this is something else, like pricing. But wait. Go ahead.
Finish your story.
Yeah, so I did that and I saw it, and then I was like, I could wait for Amazon, I'll wait for Amazon. I tell you what, I'll wait for Amazon because usually it's cheaper on Amazon, and like I usually order from Amazon, so I'll wait. I kept refreshing it, and like 2 minutes passed, and it still wasn't on Amazon. And I was like, "Oh my god! They said they're only making a limited number of copies. I have to buy it now. I'm buying it off HMV. I don't get what they said. I'm buying it now." So I just bought the expensive one because I was like, and this was at 3 a.m. because I woke up at 3 a.m. just in case the limited edition.
Listen, they were so mean. Why did they say that? You know they're gonna make enough available for everyone to buy it. Like, why did we lose our minds? All of us lost our minds.
I lost my mind, and I knew there was gonna be enough, but just in case there wasn't, I woke up at 3 a.m. and ordered from the expensive site.
I know. And the thing I was gonna say, pricing and pricing expectations of your customers is also something you have to be very, very cognizant of as a business.
Yeah.
And with BTS, they've basically established an expectation that you will have at least some option where it will be between $15 and $20. It may be the most like bared version where it's just the album and nothing else, but there is or one option of that. And then you will have more elaborate, more expensive versions that are between $20 and $30 where you have other add-ons and whatever else. So, like, that's kind of our expectation, $15 and $30. Yeah,
like, I expected it to be about 30.
Yeah. And then you get this price and you're just like, what the fuck? And then you look at it and you're like, they literally said limited, like, quantity. And... I've been waiting for this album for months, since February.
Plus, I know that they have literally done it themselves.
Yeah.
Like, this has been very, very personal. They've probably spent more money on it because they've tried to get what they want personally. And, like, apparently it's twice the thickness of Map of the Soul 7. So, like,
I heard that.
So it's like this thick.
Hold on.
8 photo cards.
It's this thick.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you get 8 photo cards. And I'm pretty sure, weren't they saying that they wanted to do like Polaroids or like...
I don't know. Like
disposable cameras or something. And if it's limited edition, then like, because they'll definitely release another album that's not the deluxe version, so that they will print that as many times as they want. But like in the deluxe limited edition, there must be a reason for that. Like, so they must have come up with something really, really special. Like,
but you do understand that for ARMYs, if you say deluxe version or not, we don't care. We will buy it.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even notice that it said deluxe version. I was like, marketing gimmick, whatever. And then, by the way, when I saw the price, I was like gonna complain, and I was like, meh. And then I was like, I spent $60 on this mood light. So if this is my comparison point, I should have absolutely no problem spending $60 on a BTS album. And then I went, okay, bye.
Oh my god. Yeah, see, I'm not that bad. Like, I buy tickets, shows, and albums because I'm 23 years old. I've been a student like my whole life. I don't have like disposable income to just buy random stuff. So I'm a lot more like wary with things. And then when I saw it, I was like, I know I'm gonna buy it, but I'm gonna feel bad about it. Come on, like, like when it's like £30, I can justify it. I'm like, oh, that's not even that much. It's fine. I can buy that. But then when it's more, I'm like, well, I'm still gonna get it. I'm just gonna feel bad.
Yeah, I mean, that's why it's just, I only have a job because I need money to spend on BTS. Nothing else.
Relatable. That will be me when I like leave uni.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to this. I know, I have a feeling that I bought one online, so it's only gonna be delivered in like a couple of days after it's released. I foresee myself going to the store and buying another copy of it.
Probably. I almost did that, but then I I didn't get a chance to go to the shop because I was like, mine's not here yet. Yeah.
And my husband, after I ordered it and went through all that drama and told him about it. I was like, yeah, and I told him, I'm like, you don't need to buy it because the day it comes out, we will both be impatient and we'll go to the store and buy it anyway. So you can, and he's just like, but it says limited edition. So what if it's not there? Yeah, and I'm just like, are you serious? He's like, so you don't want me to have my own copy? I'm like,
that's so funny.
Okay, so then he bought his own version.
Yeah, relatable. But as soon as you say limited edition or that it might sell out, you're like, I need it. And I will battle every one of you to get a copy.
And the thing is we all knew it. And we were all like, it's big hit. They will make sure there's enough for all of us. We're pre-ordering, for God's sake. Like, it will be there. And then we all still lost our fucking minds over 2 words. So thanks, Big Hit.
Yeah, thanks for that. That was really appreciated. But yeah, I'm so excited for this because I can tell it's just going to be... I feel like it's going to be the most Kim Namjoon rather than RM, Kim Taeyoung rather than V, etc., etc.
I think this might be
we're gonna get.
This might be the sincerity and honesty and candidness that we've been wanting from them.
Yeah, and I mean, like, we get so much of them anyway, but they are still giving it to us from behind a curtain, and that's understandable, and it's
their right as human beings.
It's very reasonable because, like, there are certain things you can't really show if you're in the public eye. Like, it's too difficult. But I have a feeling that this is going to be as close as we can ever possibly hope to get to them, and I can't wait because I love them. And I want to see their hearts and their souls as actual human beings and not as celebrities, because that's what I love about them. Yeah. I love both sides, but I'm just really happy they get to do this. And I'm happy that they get to share something. And I know it will, but I really want it to do so well, because I want them to know that, whether they're BTS or they're themselves,
we still love them and support them.
Care.
And we still care, and we still find them interesting and want to be with them.
And they'll still be just as successful. So yeah, that's my hope. And I really, really want us to get number 1 with their Korean title track, because
I think that will answer questions for them, and
I think so,
and lay down to rest doubts that might have come up from Dynamite's success.
Yeah. And I think, honestly, I don't know if anybody else is thinking this, but for me personally, I feel a very big sense of duty for this next comeback to get this number 1. Obviously, I'm in the UK. I want it to do better here, but also to contribute to donating for US funds and things. Because
I guess then it's good thing that I'm going to be buying 3 copies total.
True. Yeah. But I don't know about you, but I need them to know that. I need them to know that we can still do it for them in their language, and they don't have to ever change anything about themselves to be successful or to win. I need them to know that, and I feel like the only way we can literally prove it to them is if we get this number 1 with a Korean song.
Agreed, completely.
Yeah. Okay, well.
I think with that amount of hope and love and appreciation for our 7 men, we should say goodbye.
Yeah, thanks for spending ARMY time with us.
Our special recap episode of everything BTS.
Yep, lots and lots of discussions. See you next time.
Bye, guys. 눈 뜨면 뿌연 아침밤 밤새 춤을 추며 노래해 그 끝이 없던 악보들 우린 호기롭게 shout 던져봐 세상 거쳐 sound Don't wanna die but so much pain Too much crime 속 무뎌지는 칼날 We were only 7 But we have you all 내 고백 결과 본
We are bulletproof 부정적인 시선에 맞서 우리는 했고 나쁜 기억도 많은 시련도 다 호기롭게 우리 막아냈지 bulletproof
내 생각에 아직 꿈속인 건 아닐까 길었던 겨울 끝에 온 게 진짜 봄일까 모두 비웃던 한땐 부끄럽던 여름 이건 새로 된 조명 bulletproof
We were only 7 But we have fear 이급의 결과 봄 뒤에 이렇게 맞잡은 손끝에 Yeah, we get to heaven 내게 돌아가줘 우리 값이 없어 anymore We are together bulletproof Yeah, we have you 누가 우리 왔도 누가 남을 곁도 걸어가 We are forever bulletproof Yeah, we get to heaven 다시 멈추지 않을래 여기 우리가 함께이기에
Tell me your every story Tell me why you don't stop this
Tell me why you still walking with us Yeah, we get to heaven 내게 돌아가줘 우리 값이 없어 anymore We are together bulletproof Yeah, we have you 누가 우리 왔도 누가 남을 곁도 걸어가 We are forever bulletproof Yeah, we get to Yeah, we have you Yeah, we are now seven with you Yeah, we are now seven with you Yeah, we are not seven with you